Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Moon Harvest, Amish Earther, Naughty Thumbnails, Mitch Kennedy, Original D Rose, Rod, The Name's Burley, Todd Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, J Mel's 24, Unimento, M Iron 26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKinnon, Retro Bill, More Books, Kenna Bear, Fiber Oats, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Harry Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, Tina Baker, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
So I think it's something to keep in mind.
What makes good interpersonal communication on, say, the street or one-on-one with somebody in person isn't necessarily good for an internet voice chat, you know?
Right. There's a different way to communicate on the internet versus face-to-face and vice versa. And as humans, like we're designed to have face-to-face communication. This whole internet communication is completely new. And as a result of that, right? Just go on.
The generation that's coming up right now who are being raised with it instead of being introduced later on in life, that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
I've already noticed my kids have another language altogether that they can speak. They speak two languages. They speak English that I can understand, and then they speak internet, and I have no clue what they're saying.
yeah. All right. Well, I'm not sure if I can fully relate to that, but I mean, I am familiar with some like internet chat, right? Because I'm on Discord a lot, and I used to be on gaming forums a lot. But
no, I can take the context and interpret that. I'm talking about like TikTok, kids just feeding back into like the way their social norms are established. Some of the stuff that comes out of my kids' mouths, I have no context for it.
oh, I gotcha, because it's like a new generation, a new wave, and okay, and a new way of things, how things are done, and what's accepted, what's popular, what's not popular.
I'll give you an example.
So forth and so on. Oh, okay, go on.
I'll give you sticking out my gat for the Rizzler. Yeah,
Okay.
that happened just now. Tell me, how do you interpret that?
Rizzler is
I interpret it as gibberish, I guess.
Rizzler is a brand of cigarette papers here in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're asking for cigarette papers.
Right? So what's a gat?
I don't know. Yeah, I can't be honest. I don't know.
Maybe they're speaking code for get me a cigarette so the parents don't know.
It sounds like she's, saying I'm selling myself for a cigarette.
That sounds about right. Or I'm selling myself for a cigarette paper.
That might be worse. Well, yeah, that's probably worse.
It probably means I've got some wacky backy and I've got no means to smoke it. So I'd give my left arm for a cigarette paper right now so I can smoke my wacky backy. That's what it sounds like.
So get could be marijuana.
I don't know. I still don't know.
Yeah, like I said, there's two languages being spoken in my house right now. One is English, or the common tongue, and then there's whatever they speak in.
Yeah, it's always going to be the way with every generation, though, isn't it? I'm sure your dad was telling you off because you were calling things cool, and it made no sense.
That seems awfully specific. Did that happen to you?
No. Okay, let's use a different one. If you were calling things bad, that's bad. That is a badass. That is. What? What does that mean? It means it's really good. Well, how does that make sense? You can imagine some boomer or whatever they call them saying that, right? Obviously not. Obviously, I'm way off track here.
Oh no, I'm just thinking about it because that was just one line. I mean, there's so much that they say that I just
No, but
have no context for.
I get you, but any linguistic change that you have, if you go to the top of the tree and say this is now defined differently in the dictionary, that's going to be as a direct consequence of slang and lingo at its origin becoming part of common vernacular and then working its way into, what was the word you used yesterday, the common lexicon. And then if it becomes so part of the common lexicon that everybody understands what the word is and how it means something, it'll become defined in the dictionary at a point that everyone agrees upon it when there's a little council meeting. But you've got to have a start somewhere,
Let me add something.
Any word is gonna have an origin, usually a mushed together combination of other words. But by the time
To add the
go on.
Oh, I was just gonna add quickly to what he said. He said something key. He said, "I don't have the context for it." You see, that's the key thing because words change all the time.
Precisely. I only can so eloquently describe this is because I watch a lot of Paula. This is what she does. So going along with Paula's general methodology when she's studying anything biblical, the etymology of any word seems to have a similar pattern in terms of how it's been formed. And I can only directly translate that through history to now and go, well, what we're seeing with your description of the words your kids are using is the start of that process. Now, obviously, there's going to be a multitude of crass and ugly and crappy and useless words that are part of that lexicon that just get ditched. They just end up in the wayside because they're not that useful. But the ones that end up being really useful for something, and if there's, in 5 years' time, a lot of people who are in a pinch for a Rizzler, then maybe that'll make its way into the dictionary.
And they do, even like a common, because they have the colloquial definitions too. They're still definitions, even though it's a colloquial, general, everyday use or the popular use. Just because it's colloquial or general, everyday use, it's still a definition. And you can tell if it is or isn't by the context.
Yeah, I use it to gauge my annoyance level when someone says the word gravity. Now, if in a colloquial context they just mean I observe things moving generally, don't correct me, John, generally moving through air in a downward direction, and you mean that when you say the word gravity, you go, okay, as a common man, That's what you mean when you're suggesting that this object has fallen to the ground, and you're going to ascribe a reason for it. Well, the easiest way to brush past that in a description for something maybe unrelated is to just say, well, the gravity of this item brings it towards the ground, and therefore my example can carry on without any particular fuss. Well, in that particular example, you go, well, yeah, as a colloquial use, you understand why people use that word. Now, obviously, on a wider, more broad examination of the word and the context we end up having it used here, there's a lot to be annoyed about. But when you're just watching a video and someone uses that word, there is not necessarily any reason to get annoyed with it. And it may be the colloquial terminology that moves forward, even if after we debunk Newton 108 years ago, Einstein now. And even then, you could say it's already happened because you've got quantum mechanics debunking Einstein from what, 80, 90 years ago? So it's already been the case, and we still have it in our language. The only problem is where it's taught to kids in school as being a force, Newtonian in nature. But, you know, that is most of the time why most people have it as a colloquial use of a down in air. But is there any necessity to get annoyed with it if Newtonian and Einsteinian gravity didn't exist and people still had the context to use that word when describing something moving down through air? Probably not. Wouldn't obviously have any relevance to our subject anymore, unless there was an assertion on the table that that particular downward bias in air for any object that you're going to describe as doing that, when not all masses all go down in air. But nevertheless, unless there's assertions being made that that affects a reality that is ball-shaped, it wouldn't have any consequence on us. But people would still potentially say, well, the gravity of this item, meaning that it's going to go down if I let go of it or don't support it, might not even raise an eyebrow from a flat earther if, like I say, if there wasn't Newtonian and Einstein quote-unquote gravity.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had to walk up a really big hill, pushing a stroller. But when someone says gravity to me now, it doesn't trigger me. I don't want to argue it because, especially the realization of what they're actually describing with eccentricity in relation to a horizontal plane. You know, it's like being bulletproof.
Yeah, in other words, you have the advanced understanding to take your previous annoyance, if there was one towards that word, and say, yeah, that's another flat earth proof, and chuckle about it and get on with your day, rather than thinking, I must make a response video to this man using this word. I mean, that is the attitude that we're faced with by our anti-flat earth counterparts. When we say something that decries their worldview or religion, they feel obliged to respond, which I find quite amusing. I feel no such obligation. And their feelings of obligation, they sometimes project onto me when they demand that I go this, that, and the other place for their benefit. Like, how does that benefit me? Well, you debate. You need to debate here, neutral. I couldn't care less. What's this got to do with me? Oh, you have a desire to debate me. All right, I've got an open door. Oh, you don't like the circumstances I offer you the opportunity to debate me? You want that opportunity, but under your terms. Get lost, stupid idiot. Pay me if you want that. You know, if you want me to provide you with a service and time, then I'll be paid for it. Otherwise, get lost. You know. Oh, you still want to debate me? Yeah, open the door and come through then. It's that easy. No, you want to moan and project your nonsense. Anyway, that little aside was brought to you by the moanings of mute button claimants everywhere.
Hey Nathan,
Yes.
I gave TFHM a link so when he comes on here he can present, but he got timed out when he tried to join your meet. So I'm gonna tell him to join again. So
On
keep
what?
an eye
The
out for that, I
G
guess.
Plus panel?
Yes,
Okay.
he's known as Mr.
You don't know
TFHM.
him, you know. Have you actually vetted this guy? I've spoken to him once and he's a presentation.
Well, he'll
I'm just
present,
saying,
and if you
I
need
give
to
the
get
G
rid of
Plus
him, you can get
links
rid of
to
him.
people I actually trust. I don't know him.
Well,
Do you know he's
we'll
not
get
going to
him
play
on now for the
pornography when
presentations.
he's now he's gathered up our trust And we're like, oh yeah, present what you like. Meaning going through the mods, letting them look at the file he sends, then posting it in Skype. By then it's been through at least 2-3 people's hands, and then it's definitely not going to be pornography. If he's on G+, he can literally just press a button and present whatever he likes to my audience. Sod that. I don't know him.
Is that what you want to do with us presenting his stuff?
I don't say that to the person. I don't want to say, what I want, my friend, because I don't know you from Adam, is for at least 2, maybe even 3 people that are on this panel, either in G+ or Discord, to basically have a good look at what you're going to present to my audience and potentially take down my channel with. As opposed to, oh yeah, we trust you now after 1 visit. Come on the G+ panel, you can present it whenever you fancy it. Now, for Arwin, who's decided that at that moment he wants to put up the definition on Wiki, fine. You know, it's all more appropriate that he can do that without me having to get involved, and it just appears. But is it as appropriate for some guy I don't know to just suddenly stick up a giant cock? No thanks. I'd rather he went through the general means. As much as I was polite and lovely to him, and he seemed like a lovely guy, I trust absolutely nobody. The reason there are split panels is to avoid that from happening. But after a given amount of time, some people turn down the offer. I'm like, I like you, I trust you, you seem like a good person. AI Overlord, I've said a couple of times, you're welcome to join the G+ panel. He's just not interested. Now for him, it would just be easier to not get talked over, and then should he decide to join, he doesn't have to join through Discord, he can join through G+ and won't get rumpused as much. That's it. But I wouldn't offer that out to everybody, because you just don't know them. And if it's somebody that chit-chats all day long on Discord, and a month goes by and they've presented 5 things, and eventually you're like, yeah, this guy seems sound. A bit northern, but we'll let that go. Then yeah, you might end up on the G+ panel, but I just don't want you handing out G+ links because, you know, it's dangerous because it's presented all the time to the audience when live.
All right, I got you. That's why I didn't want to share the Discord, because I was wondering, why'd you turn down sharing Discord, and now it's coming together.
Because I can only keep track of one group of people that I do trust in that respect. So if I'm glancing over here on the other monitor and somebody in G+ decides to present something, I am not in the slightest bit concerned that anybody who's in there will, even if I pissed off, this is the standard, right? If I pissed John off, he's the only person there at the moment, so badly, right, I would still trust him to come back in and not porn bomb me. You know what I mean? If I betrayed him, I would still trust that he wouldn't come back in and try and destroy my channel. That's the level of trust that I would put in somebody to put him in the G+ panel. In other words, a very high standard. To the point where if I betrayed them, they hopefully still wouldn't want to screw me over so badly that I didn't have a career at the end of it. That make sense?
Yes, clear.
Trust you that much.
All right, well, thank you for that.
I was talking to John.
Trusting me. Oh.
I'm only joking. I was waiting for your reaction. You hesitated too. You're like, is he talking to me? I left it ambiguous deliberately. Just for the joke. Right. Just for the jape.
Okay.
I do trust you that much. Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
You wouldn't have a link to the G+ panel if I didn't.
Right. All right, well, I'll clean that up. So I'll handle it.
I mean, if he's already got the link, no worries. You know, it's one of those. I'd cope. I've coped in the past. You know, I just put it at the radar screen. But there's a nice sense of security in knowing that, for the most part, if I had a heart attack and we were live, I bet no one would notice for a couple of hours. They go, oh yeah, he's buggered off for something. And the show would just carry on. The panel members would keep the show going. And they could still present. And they could still do stuff. Not that I'm intending on having a heart attack, but you know what I'm getting at.
Right.
I had to drop at the end of that presentation. Did he understand the point about mean sea level in the calculation of the tinfoil hat man?
I very much doubt it on the first rendition. I'm sure it's like anything when you first hear it. as it goes in for the 5th time or the 6th time that we repeated it yesterday, it'll be going, yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, they've got to use a flat plane to get this. The following day, you wake up and go, how do you link getting the flat plane to this? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it would help if you started out with the understanding that you're observing it as flat and you're measuring it as flat. Now, there's a positive claim that it's a globe tied in with the horizon and it's only apparently flat, right? Well, that's been debunked. So that's still an important point, because you have two what seems like contradictory positive claims um, in conflict. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You said it about a year ago. Their shtick, their MO, is to hold up 2 flat Earth claims, show how one flat Earth claim is wrong for whatever reason they give, and the other proves the globe. That's what they do. This flat Earth proofsy proves the globe. That flat Earth proofsy won't give you the height of the stars. So flat Earth fails. But my use of flat Earth proves the globe.
I mean, it's madness. Like, once you see the trick, you can never stop seeing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you say that, but you still manage to get one over. Well, it's because you've completely understood the trick. I obviously haven't. Otherwise, I wouldn't get into the wrangle dangle on the back roads. And then in the live shows, you're like, excuse me, you're going to need a flat plane for this because, and before you've even got the first breath out, I'm like, oh, damn, I know where you can go with it once you've said it. But at the time, it's like, there's such a good analogy. I am in those back roads in my Yugo, worrying about the oil pressure and whether or not I'm going to run out of petrol, trying to get to the end of there's a highway above me, and I've just not even noticed. There's it doesn't change the fact that when you scream, you're going to need a flat Earth for that from Route 90. I can still glance up and hear you. I go, oh yeah, there's a road up there, but by then it's too late, isn't it? There's no on-ramp next to me. I'm already in the back roads. I've already done it. In other words, it amuses me greatly when you catch it each time in the live shows and just say, essentially, shorthand for, you're going to need a flat Earth for that, but obviously you do a much better job. You actually explain how you'll need a flat Earth for it. Normally you leave it a little bit of a lead into actually letting me know what you're about to do so that I don't twig immediately, and then I'll start smiling, which is even better. Where's he going with this? Why is he interrupting me? Sometimes I'm a little annoyed. And then I realise what you're doing, and it's just, oh, my own stupidity amuses me sometimes.
Yeah, it's if you want to tie any claim you make about the nature of Earth, you're going to have to tie it to the flat plane, and that's just might as well be a law of nature,
Yeah, we never spotted it. All the uses of sea level. It's the most obvious tie, and we never even spotted it. We'd say it. Well, yeah, but that's the height above sea level. So you're saying the height of this building we're going to put through the curve maths with respect to how high above a flat plane it is. Okay, and then once we've got how high in feet it is above a flat plane, we can then plug those numbers in for how much it's blocked by the horizon below the flat plane we got the height from. Okay, like you say, once you've seen it, you can't not see where the flat plane is. Well, what are we going to do with this surface level in your maths? The horizon below that surface level? We're going to need the surface level, aren't we, for the heights? So that's flat. So we're going to go from a flat Earth to telling us how horizons below the flat Earth we're getting heights from block things. I see. That's not very useful to me anymore. It wasn't in 2015 when I figured out a hijack perspective, but now it's even less useful. How long do you reckon? Do you reckon this cycle of just letting flat Earth bubble to the surface so you can figure out the best way to suppress it will just continue with every new media style that comes out?
I don't know. See, it's where we're at now, outside of that cycle,
Yeah, but that cycle still exists. We
because
are outside of the cycle,
kind
but the
of
cycle still exists.
right, right. but that's something different. I've not seen citation of anyone else who stood outside of the cycle. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
I don't know if
I was just going to agree in terms of when you look at past flat earthers in the previous resurgence of this subject, they just regurgitated Feast of Nonsense. Now that might just be victory going to the history being written by the victors, and therefore the ones that remain in the media to any extent are the ones that comport with the narrative that they wanted when they let that last resurgence occur. So maybe people sat outside the circle, but we're never going to see them because they're never going to make it into the current reports. They would have all been memory holed. In the same way, well, yeah, we sit outside that cycle now, but 20 years from now, everything we have done will have been memory holed, and what will remain is all the people who were in Flat Earth in this particular resurgence that did regurgitate the Feast of Nonsense that was useful for the globe lie. They will remain. They will be the only people referenced. Therefore, people in 2030 will look back and go, well, nobody did what we're doing now. We've realised how they use the flat earth to come up with the globe. You're like, no, people probably did sit outside that circle just like we do back in the 70s, but they've all been memory holed, so you can't find any of it. You might find the odd news cutting about some flat earth billboard from the 70s. You know what I mean? Be like, oh, right, okay.
I mean, that's possible, but it's still an argument to silence fallacy.
The memory hole is just that, yes. But yeah, okay. I can't really argue with that, can I? I pissed on my bonfire. Bye goes that fantasy.
Well, no, it could be true. We just don't know. You know, and it's a speculation that's worth considering, but
I love
it may not necessarily
anything's
be
possible
true.
consolation prize.
Well, no, I mean, in this case, it is possible that that has happened. That is entirely possible. It doesn't mean it is true though, because
No.
you know it would be an argument to silence fallacy to say that it is.
Indeed. So therefore we can only go by what's happening now. And then you have to pick on what do you want in terms of your influence. The reason for the globe lie is to keep people under control. Now, if you want to usurp that control, then that's something that you might want to do. But I don't have that motivation. I don't want to replace the control structure that's currently in place to keep the public from doing whatever they shouldn't be doing as far as the perpetrators of the globe lie are concerned. There's a reason it's in place. It stops you looking beyond the barriers that the globe lays out. But beyond that, we can't really divine the motivation other than it keeps people under control. If you've already got answers, people aren't going to be asking questions because you can already present them with the answers. The fact that they answer in regards to the globe keeps you going around in circles, quite literally and figuratively, is neither here nor there in terms of motivation. So therefore you say, well, okay, it keeps people under control. What do I benefit if I relinquish people from that control structure, first and foremost? Now, for some, it would be, well, I can then control them. Now, we speculate that that's the, not necessarily direct motivation, but a potential outcome when people peddle alternatives like ether. That is often how we'll contextualize our critique, which is to say, right, out of the frying pan into the fire. Your last guru told you Earth's a sphere, now they're telling you about counter space. Okay, well, it's your bag if you want that. But what other motivation do you have? I mean, my motivation is I like the subject. The world is very exciting now that I realise I know very little about it. Sometimes you find out something new about it. That motivates me enough to keep a show going on YouTube. That's it, but that's about the end of my motivation. Neil's motivation is having others around him understand as he understands, so that he is more comfortable in society with the same understanding they have. Fine, that may be your motivation. That is a genuine reason to want to educate others about the deception that they've been foiled by. Is that the right word? And foisted on them. You know, that's just not my motivation. I don't know what your motivation is. You've said it's because you were mean to other flat earthers, but I don't know.
Well, no, that apprenticeship has ended. It ended in February. I'm doing it now just to hang out.
I didn't catch that because of my kids. Say again.
Um, I did that. I was doing that up until February, and then I feel like I paid back what I've done. Kind of repentance or whatever. But since then, or January. I'm sorry, January. But since then, I've just been hanging out. Really, it's an interesting subject.
Good. That's a good answer. Just hanging out. Exactly. There's a social element to what we do. That's obviously a advancement of your understanding and knowledge, but ultimately it's just hanging out. People enjoy the subject. Now, people love to hate it, but I don't think that's even true. I don't think the anti-flat earthers love to hate us. They genuinely hate us. We're a threat to them, and things that people are threatened by, they don't tend to love. I mean, yes, there's a fine line between loving something and hating something, you might argue, but that's, again, besides the point when it comes to people who genuinely hate us, because we threaten their very paradigm, their existence in this reality that they don't live in, of a ball.
Yeah, we represent an apocalypse to them.
Yeah. The world would end if suddenly the controllers and people who are telling them what's what were all wrong. What, suddenly everybody around me is just a Dumbo and an idiot? Yeah, pretty much. It's all just a facade people put on. Yeah, astrophysicists might seem really smart, but if you go through the whys and wherefores of how he's come to know what he says he knows, you realise it ain't that clever. But it doesn't mean the world's going to end. It doesn't mean that manufacturing is going to stop. It doesn't mean that technological advancements will cease. It just means that the people who govern us are mostly numpties and idiots. Don't know what they're doing and are stupid. But for the most part, if you said that to somebody, a rational, normal person, they go, yeah, I know. Yes. But in their mind, there'd be anarchy.
Right. Well, that and revelation means the end of the world as you know it. Not necessarily the end of existence. It's the end of the world as you know it. So that's what an apocalypse is. And it is most certainly terrifying to them.
That's not as I understand the definition of apocalypse or even revelation to be, though. When something changes, when something ends and something else begins, right? That would be an apocalypse, wouldn't it?
Well, think about it. That's what's happening. The moment you know it's a flat plane, right? Because it's like when you're a kid and the globe is put upon you, it's like it's a huge deal to try to take in. It's like almost make you dizzy to try to even conceive of it, right? Um, that's is a false revelation though, but it's still a revelation. It has changed your world. Now you're this dot on a speck and an infinite expanding anything. Because when you reveal something is to show, you know, to bring forth or to show, So yeah, that is one way you could interpret revelation is you know, just seeing the truth.
But that doesn't conjure the images of the world ending or there being any disaster involved in that. So if you would like to describe it as you've described it, I have been through the apocalypse. Okay. So what?
Well, it depends on the context you use it, I guess, subjectively or objectively, because Revelations in the Bible speaks of an objective apocalypse in which you know everything shall be revealed, aka revelation, right? But there is personal revelations that you can have and experiences. We call them epiphanies or things like that.
Sure. Epiphany is the best word I would describe my experience of understanding that the earth was flat, because it came to me so quickly. It just took a couple of words from Math Powerland, and I'm shaking my wife awake and going, the earth's flat. That to me is an epiphany. That's the best defining word for that.
Yeah, I just had a revelation. Oh my goodness. You know?
I like epiphany.
Yeah, but to them, it is the end of the world as they know it. It
Yeah,
is.
well, it is. I mean, in the most literal terms, I remember some of my early videos having to qualify this to people watching by saying the Earth has not changed. The shape has not altered. It always was flat. So, in terms of how the world has changed, it hasn't. Your perception of the world is all that's changed. Nothing around you has physically changed in any way, shape, or form. But in their mind, suddenly, what, the world's going to unfold because it's flat? I need to get a drink. Hopefully,
Well,
Brian will keep the conversation going for a couple of minutes while I grab a Coke.
yeah, Brian's here. Hey, Brian, did you see that guy's telescope yesterday?
Tinfoil. I saw the pictures. Hey, everyone.
That is a beautiful
Well.
machine.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. There's one or two questions I want to ask him about it, but I'm connected with him on Discord, so I'll ask him about it. I was just wondering why he didn't use a greater zoom when he was zooming to the lighthouse. Like because he has a zoom that I don't think anyone else has. So kind of like he zoomed. I think it was 96 times or something, or 160 something times. But I was wondering why he didn't use a bigger zoom, because he could go to over 2000 in zoom, wouldn't he?
Well, now I wonder, is there a point where the zoom is not going to affect where the horizon renders at a certain height? You know, or will it?
Yeah,
You
I'm
know what I
looking to
mean?
see that. See, I don't see the see. I don't think the horizon was where we were thinking it was, because if you look at the edge of where the lighthouse is, look at that little piece of land there at the edge. You can see there's this common thing that happens. I've seen it in many other observations where people think that the horizon is just in front of something, but then you can actually see the water at the side of where that thing is. You can see the water. You can see there's a little reflection there. So, either way, I would have liked to have seen a greater zoom, because I've never seen anyone with that zoom capability. So I'd like to be able
Oh,
to see
me neither.
what would happen if you kept zooming.
Yeah, yeah, because with ballers, they've kind of think they understand what the horizon is. They're not trying to investigate it. Like you said, that would have been interesting to see.
Yeah, because the bowlers, well, they, they don't want to investigate the horizon. It's not in their interest to do it. You know what I mean? It's a refracted position off of a globe stage. That's the only thing they're going to state when it comes to the horizon. Um, so,
Yeah, yeah, they give excuses for why they don't want to look into it. I don't know what it
yeah,
is. Just don't look at it.
yeah, for them, there's nothing to look into. It's just a refracted position based off of a globe edge. It's like that's the best they can come up with. And now, like at one time, they couldn't shut up about the horizon. Now it's the horizon is a dirty topic. Hey, everyone.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Where were you guys yesterday?
Oh, the panel. Yeah, it was just me and Arwin for the most of yesterday. Where were you all? John was
I
here at the
couldn't be there.
start.
Yeah, sorry. I had something come up in the middle of the show.
Outrageous. Anyway, as we've got a slightly larger panel than we did yesterday, let's do a bit of housekeeping. Any evidence? What haven't we done for a while? Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
P waves and S waves, and every time they try to dig up to see whether the test matched the result, they were wrong, and that's the proof.
Rev up your engines.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
You're going to need a flat plane for that. The return signal's based on angles. primary and secondary waves, the angles that you're getting are with respect to a flat plane, Arwin.
No, they're in a sphere. I've seen the model. Seen the echo go bouncing around in the sphere, damn it. It's real.
Yeah, but what are you getting from that echo, as you call it, is a signal, and then you're calculating it based on the angle with respect to a flat plane.
But I've seen the animation of the signal bouncing around inside a sphere.
Okay, well, you're going to struggle to get an angle, a flat baseline, to have an angle with respect to, aren't you? Yes, Nathan.
But why do the signals then bounce around inside of a sphere?
We're not in a sphere. We're not on a sphere. The world isn't a sphere, and these signals are with respect to a flat plane. Moving on. Any evidence of the R
When
value?
they showed the signals and how they coordinated and figured things out, it was because it was inside of a sphere.
No, it was not. That's not how primary and secondary waves function.
Right, and you couldn't formulate the wave without it being a plane of reference.
This reminds me of that taboo conspiracy video about like planes and radar and how to detect other planes. Is this tied to that? Like, it does have to be a plane, right?
I mean, in essence, yeah. If you're talking about how that signal is described with respect to the plane. Absolutely. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
It's derived from the equator length.
Well, it's derived from flat plane elevation angles to Polaris. So what they call the R value is a calculated back engineering of flat plane measurements. Recently, I have had a few arguments with borders because there's this claim that the North Geographic Pole and the GP of Polaris are not the same point. And if you're going to make the North Geographic Pole a slightly different position than the GP of Polaris, and you're going to claim, because this comes back to them claiming Polaris is moving, right? Then you don't even have a derived R value based off of a back engineering of flatter elevation angles. You don't even have that. You don't have a latitude and longitude grid. So these, because they need to claim that Polaris is supposedly moving, Polaris doesn't move. And they need to claim that the North Celestial Pole is not Polaris and the North Geographic Pole is not the GP of Polaris. Then at that point, you don't have a latitude and longitude grid. You don't have a measurement of a latitude and longitude grid, flat plane measurements. That's how it's measured. And you don't have consequently a back engineered derived R value that you can then base all your nonsense on. So is there any evidence of the R value? No. If you're talking about an actual measured thing, there is no measurement of an R value to the Earth. With the exception...
A spherical R value. I just have to drop this in, because obviously you've just clarified specifically how you'll get an R value for the equator value. So therefore, no isn't a wholesome answer I'm going to digest well. No for a spherical radial value in that example, because you've qualified how the flat-based radial value will get you an equator. Either.
No, I said what I said on purpose, because if you're talking about the Earth as a flat plane, you could say that, well, the straight line distance between the GP of Polaris and the equator is the radius.
It is though, isn't it? Hold on.
No, but hang on.
Let me just say one sentence.
But it's not.
Just one sentence. It is a radial value, isn't it?
No. That's why I said there is no R value, measured R value to the Earth, because we don't know how big the Earth is, so we don't know if 90 degrees south is the edge or like the ending point. We don't know that.
But if you draw
you can only say the latitude and longitude grid as an R value. That's all you can say.
Well, we don't have the complete cross section of the realm.
Okay.
We don't know.
Let me just acknowledge what Brian's saying. He's saying that's got no reference to the land. You can take that information and transpose it onto the land, and then you've got a circle around an arbitrary point on the land that may be useful for navigating or whatever. But what reference does that have to the land when asking about an R value? The answer is none, and Brian's correct. You can transpose it, and that's what John was about to get into. It's not the land. But Brian's right.
Yeah, it's known area, but we don't even know how many of us can go to 90 degrees south and verify there's even a 90 degrees south. We have no idea. So mathematically, we can claim there's an R value to the latitude and longitude grid, but that is a grid that we use and we have derived from Polaris and the 24-hour solar day. But that doesn't tell us the full size of the Earth, does it? So that's the only way. That's the only reason I argued.
Okay.
Right, but that wasn't the question necessarily, was it? Because if you're talking about radial value of your perspective, right, and how some people reify that into the celestial dome model, you would have a radial value there to where the sky appears to meet where the sky appears to meet surface level. Would that count as an R value?
That wouldn't count as an R value if we're talking about a flat plane, because let's just say Polaris meets your horizon at 5,400 nautical miles away from its GP point. But that's only the equator then. We have another double that then for the rest of the grid.
Yeah, but is that circle that you're going to create, right, with the celestial sphere, that flat plane circle, that would still require a radial value to calculate that circle, would it not?
Yeah, but we don't know if that circle is actually we can't verify if that circle is the end of the Earth, or if that circle actually extends past where the actual end is. We don't know that. That's the problem. So if you're talking about the Earth, we don't know if the Earth is a circle either. You know what I mean? We don't know.
We don't know we don't know the cross section.
That's a red herring to the point, though, because it has nothing to do with the size of Earth, this radial value we're talking about. We're talking about the size of your viewing circle. And any evidence of the R value seems like that's an R value.
Well, if you want to, the only R value we can come up with is 10,800 nautical miles, or 12,420, I think it is, statute miles, and that's only for the latitude and longitude grid.
There's a derived value from the stars that you can place arbitrarily on the ground.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, you can do that.
You can, and it is an R value. Is it an R value? Yes, it is. But it's just not Earth radius, which is what the question is. When we ask for the radius value, we're talking about the radius of a sphere Earth that's been derived from a flat plane.
We could be cheeky and start claiming that the radius of the Earth is 10,800 nautical miles, because that would be us working off the latitude and longitude grid. We could start speaking about the R value in those terms and annoy our opposition, but technically we wouldn't be correct. But we could still do it, because it is a measured R value. Well, they say it's a measured distance.
Well, wasn't that my point 10 minutes ago? Hold on. That was my point 10 minutes ago, and you shouted me down.
No, but it's not. If we're talking about the Earth, we don't know. So we can only talk about the latitude and longitude grid. So us saying that wouldn't be correct, that there is an R value measured, because, as I said, who's verified there's a 90 degrees south? And if there is a 90 degrees south, is there more after that? We're only working within what is supposedly the known Earth. We don't know anything past 90 degrees, or if there even is a 90 degrees, because we don't know if it stops at 80 degrees. For all we know, we don't know.
No, I mean, they've claimed to send many people to the North Pole, but nobody's lying on their back and showing you what Polaris is doing when they claim, because they've got lots of snow around them, that they're at the North Pole.
Yeah, there's little difference between the North Geographic Pole.
I
and
know,
the
it's not my point. Don't be pedantic.
No, but the little difference that's there between the North Geographic Pole and Polaris's GP within their paradigm, that has some globe element. There's a reason for that. It's not like this. There's a reason. See, they have to claim that Polaris is moving.
Yeah. They claim
Maybe it's down
Polaris
to
is
what they
moving.
call their wobble or whatever.
They claim the land below it's moving. They claim it's moving because of the axis moving through space. It's all very non-fixed, and you couldn't really find it if you tried. And if you went there, well, you wouldn't really know where to go because chances are it's shifted. You know, they got all sorts of bullshit stories about it. But we speculated in the pre-show before you got here, Brian, that is the very reason for why we've been deceived in that regard. Well, if you can tie the world up on a sphere-shaped map or model and then say that that's it, you're just going around in circles and you're not looking for any new land. Well, up until the point that we were deceived by the globe lie, we were finding land all the time and calling it new worlds and going out to space, aka the horizon, to find these, quote, new worlds. And we've all got stories of history, of people finding the new worlds. And nobody bats an eyelid when you're like, oh yeah, but there isn't any now because it's globe-shaped. You're like, oh, right, okay. I mean, this is basically Math Powerland's shtick. His whole namesake is it's all about the math, which is what we discuss daily. It's all about the power, same thing as we were discussing in the pre-show. We were saying control, power, same thing. And it's all about the land.
Well, it is. Don't they claim a wobble to their globe? A slight wobble. I'm wondering if that's the reason why they claim that their North Geographic Pole is slightly off center from the GP of Polaris. Now that would be the North Geographic Pole would be the very center of the latitude and longitude grid. So if they're claiming a little wobble, is that why they're trying to claim that? Because nobody ever observes this movement of Polaris. In all the years that I've been in the arena here, I have yet to see any evidence that Polaris is doing anything but just shining brightly in the sky.
It's a really convenient set of stones that you can go to in Georgia. You can just look through this hole in the stones and see that it never moves. It's really convenient.
Yeah. So someone set up a special stone in Georgia so you can look through and see Polaris is not moving. You know, I remember years ago, Nathan, I don't know if you remember, but there was flat earthers setting up little pieces of pipe in their garden.
It was Dave Weiss.
Them.
Yeah, it was Dave Weiss.
Yeah. Well, I've seen other people. I've seen guys in England do it. It was more than David Weiss, but it never moved. It doesn't move. There's no movement. It stays right where it is at all times. So,
Can I add something?
I'm going to go with no.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Well, it's okay. I can stay on it. I was going to say there's this guy named Mighty Mush on Discord, and he said he did time-lapse footage of Polaris, and he could see it like slightly move, but there could be some camera stuff. Maybe it's not stable or something.
well,
And I was going to ask Billy Criterion if there's something in the camera that causes it to be off-center over time.
Yeah, well,
Really,
if he can show us...
Well, go on, Brian. Really takes a while to get off mute. Brian?
Righteous? Are you talking to me?
You and really, but first you.
Yeah. Well, I've heard these things many times. I've yet to see these videos of this happening. But secondly, if you're looking through anything through air, which he has to be, then everything appears. You look at anything in the sky, and if you're looking at it through air, which is gas, right, and gas is always moving, everything appears to be moving slightly.
No, that's just not true. The moon has got a wave to it, I'm telling you.
Right. And I'm not saying I know or anything like that. I'm just asking questions. And Rayleigh is off mute. Maybe he can tell us too what he knows about this.
Yeah. First off, the Georgia Guidestones are no longer. They've been destroyed.
Oh, no way. Oh, what a disappointment. Oh, hold on. I need to do a little announcement in that regard. If you just booked tickets, cancel them now. Bad news. It's not there anymore. Go ahead. My bad.
Yeah, and as for using digital cameras to capture images of stars, there are multiple reasons why things will start shifting around in them. Usually it's the stability control of the camera will sometimes adjust for stuff that doesn't need adjusting for. And even the twinkling of stars and all that just from the atmosphere itself.
All right.
Atmo, what
That was
now?
very good. I was just asking questions, and I got some answers. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't vouch for it. I've never done it.
Yeah,
I mean,
but-
I've looked at plenty of the stars, but I've never particularly. Polaris isn't particularly interesting to look at, so it's one of those that I hadn't. So I don't know. I can't really comment on it.
Yeah, but the problem is this, right? It's twofold. One, as I said, when you look at anything in the sky through air, right, it always appears to have a tiny movement, but it's just the movement of the air that's appearing to make it move around slightly. But secondly, there's no need to address this supposedly moving Polaris until someone produces some evidence. This lad, Mighty Mush, says he has evidence, then produce it. Show us Polaris moving.
Right. He showed that evidence, but we showed you how that evidence cannot be stand on its own due to what Rayleigh just said about cameras.
Well, who showed us this?
Okay, well, he just
I've
needs
never
to.
seen-
Before you get exasperated, Brian, whoever it is that's making the claim, fine, we'll have a look at it. That's the whole point of the show, right? If you've got some claim about the nature of Earth, in this instance, Polaris. I mean, it's a stretch, but yeah, we'll go with it. We use it. We reference it for the Earth as a fixed point. So if you're saying, oh, it's not fixed, it moves. Okay, let's have a look.
All right, I'll find
Yeah,
it.
let's see it.
On Skype. Give me a sec. Right. Let me download them.
Meantime, I'll whistle green sleeves, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, was it
Oh, go
windy where he was? You know, you have to take all these things into account. Every little thing. Well, does he take into account the movement of the air? You know, all these things need to be taken into account.
Correct.
You know what I
And
mean?
the account also of the cameras, what Rayleigh described, that also has to be taken into account. And they're
Yeah.
in Discord now. I mean, not Discord, Skype.
Is he here?
Or
Can you
loading.
tell us, or is he
Loading.
just some random videographer?
It's Mighty Mush. He's usually on Discord, but he's not here today. I don't see him today.
Bummer. I mean, we'll have a quick gander, but ultimately, it'd be nice to actually have him here so he can say, this is what I've got, and here's what I'm claiming.
Well, if you watch, it's just really quick time-lapse videos, about 10 seconds each. And it
Stick
just
it in
shows...
Skype if you would. If you've got a link to it, I'll play it now. I'm sure he's a reasonable fella and won't copyright strike me for playing it.
Yes.
Okay, we'll stick it in Skype. I was going to cover Flatzoid's video, as I did promise him I would cover his debate that he had, although it's a 2.25 hour video, and I've just picked a random point in it that I hope he's with his guest debating with him, and we'll go from there. He didn't give me any timestamps or anything,
It's
so...
not on YouTube or anything. It's just a direct upload.
What, come again?
It's just a clip off his camera. He uploaded on Discord directly, and I uploaded directly to Skype. It's not on YouTube or anything.
It's on Skype?
Yeah, it's on Skype right now. There's two
Okay.
videos there.
Okay, I'll go to Skype. Okay, I see it. All right, let's just bring it up on screen so people can see what we're talking about. Hopefully that's there. Got the whirly whirl. It's presumably downloading. If you're listening to this, we're watching a time lapse of stars. It's the dead air. Okay. Which one's Polaris? Is he saying this one's Polaris?
It's one in the center, and as you can see, it starts as a dot, but then because it goes off center, the dot becomes bigger.
This one? I don't know which one he
I'm
means.
not
Okay, let's
sure.
just have a look at the other one. Or is it the same one?
Let me look. Well, I don't see it on Skype, and YouTube has got a delay. But it would be the most center dot, right? That's Polaris.
I can't see anything even in the center. Okay, I mean, fair enough.
Well, it's the one that has like the least, as the time lapse is moving and the circles are happening. The one with the least movement is Polaris.
Fair enough. I don't doubt it. And this proves what we argued about.
Well, there
And-
was a claim that it does move, but when you understand cameras better, as Rayleigh Criterion does, there's other things in the camera that could be causing that movement. So it needs to be controlled more for this claim that they stand.
Maybe I can't distinguish which star I'm
I
even
don't
supposed
see any. I
Go on,
don't see
Brian.
anything in the setup there. I don't see
can't either.
anything in the setup there. Nothing.
I'd have to look at it on my iPad. My iPad's got much tighter pixel density, and it's much better on that because I think it's 4K. But because it's so small, you can see details that I can't see on my 4K 8-foot projector because it's much lower pixel density. So I'll have a look at it on a different screen on the re-up. I do capture these for this very moment. This is why I capture the the stream in a very high resolution. Well, not very high, 1440p. But it means that you can actually zoom in on stuff on YouTube. You can now pinch to zoom on a phone and zoom in on a video. And obviously, it's got to be a high resolution to be able to retain that clarity. And hopefully, it will have come through to the live stream. We can all have a look after the fact. But in the meantime, what does this prove? Who cares if it did move?
It does matter. It does matter because.
Right? Why?
It does because the latitude and longitude grid is based off of 90 degrees to Polaris. If Polaris moves, then you can't base it off of that.
Okay.
I have had ballers, right, in the past, right, produce what is supposedly video of something for me in the sky. And what it was stuff taken off of Stellarium, not actual footage. Now, I don't see anything myself in the center of any of those two videos. So I'm skeptical. Is this just off of something like Stellarium? I'm skeptical about it.
You mean to say that...
I have zero trust in it.
Okay.
I do,
I may have
but
the wrong video. Give me a second.
But before we get into the wrangle-dangle of how legitimate the video is, if you're saying that this one video fundamentally undermines navigation, then if the person who's claiming that says that it's so, then it's back to the preposterous stuff that we get or had put to us back in the day. Okay, we'll go to the paper. Say that you can undermine all of navigation with your one observation of Polaris moving, because it obviously moves based on that, according to you.
Well, now there's also like what the ballers call parallax, and if you think of it in terms of cars on a highway, right, and you're in a traffic jam, and there's a car to your left that moves forward 2 inches, and then you move forward 3, and then they move back to their original position, and it repeats. You're never really changing your position relative to that other car. You know what I mean? But
yeah, but we're going into nonsense.
Calculated in one direction. Ballers only calculated in one direction, and then they call that, proof that the stars are falling out of alignment. Is that what this is? Are we looking at a microscopic change that we're going to ascribe something to it?
No, but I have to draw a line on this somewhere because he's not here to tell us what he's even claiming. So we're arguing against nothing at the minute. Fun though it is.
Yeah. Yeah, but
hold on a second, guys. I also
important.
posted the wrong video. Just watch the third video I just uploaded now. That one has the center. I apologize.
But Polaris isn't moving in this video. If the one in the center is Polaris, it didn't move.
Yeah, they're claiming a tiny, tiny movement to Polaris. Now, even in the Nautical Almanac, I've had ballers claim that in the Nautical Almanac there's a load of I think it's 34 or 38 corrections for Polaris, and that it's corrections for its movement. And I pointed out, no, that would be corrections for a globe claim of it moving, where you think you're at the equator and a small little correction then puts you at the equator, whereas you actually might have been at the equator in the first place. You know what I mean? If you're talking about Polaris or some latitude north, you might have been right at that latitude in the first place. But when you make this little correction, or the correction does it the other way around, it puts you, you know what I mean? It's nonsense. This is what they're trying to claim. I have seen zero evidence that Polaris ever moves. I've only seen evidence that it doesn't move. Actual evidence. And that video there was evidence that it doesn't move.
Right. So this angle change that we would describe of Polaris, how does the globe have any claim to that angle?
They don't. If they're going to claim that there's a difference, they're going to use a flat plane to describe it. It's going to be an angular change. They're going to say it's 0.1 degree change, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
But that's going to require.
This is really a flat Earth.
They're going to need a flat Earth
sorry.
for that assertion. Absolutely correct.
Right. This is a flat earthers debating about Polaris. The Globers are not allowed to interject claims.
No. If they did, we'd point out that the angle that they're arguing about how much it changes by would require a flat Earth to assert. Whilst simultaneously undermining all of navigation.
All of them are valid points. I'm not arguing against any of them. Obviously, they're very valid points. But this little thing this little movement that they're claiming that it happens with Polaris is total and utter nonsense. As I said, once again, zero evidence. Just people saying, there it is, it moves. We're looking at it and not moving. Someone just pissing down your back and telling you it's raining. That's all I ever got off of them for this claim.
Well, unless you know the basis of what somebody's claiming in regards to it, there's no point in even discussing it as far as I can tell. In any event, I think we're going to draw a line under this particular discussion, and we're going to do something I've been promising to do for days and days on end, which is cover Flatzoid's video. So, Flatzoid, if you're out there listening, I've picked a random point because you haven't given me any further information other than to ask me to cover it, because it's what we do. So, that is basically what we're going to do. If there is any other last little comments, feel free to get them in now, but if not, we're going to go over to Flatzoid's video. Alrighty then. So, as is always the case, I'm going to give it an automatic thumbs up because it's Flatzoid. Go to Flatzoid's video and let him know, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, we responded to your video, because this is right up our alley, as far as I can ascertain without having watched it myself. And that is to say that it's a debate, Flat Earth versus Globe Earth. So, obviously, we're going to have something to say on it. And I beg your indulgence, those of you who are on the panel currently, today. We'll go through it after, obviously, some of the people who've disappeared immediately, which you all have from the live audience, 75 of you watching. Hopefully we can edge that up to close to 100. But in the meantime, go away, let him know, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. More so than ever, help YouTube's algorithmic decline towards Flat Earth by boosting it, in this case for Flatzoid, by offering him a few views, a few comments. That'll help him. I'm sure he does the same for me when he does responses to anything we do. Anyway, let's get right into it. So, this video is called Globe versus Flat Debate. Check it out on Flatzoid's channel.
Go it to change when moving location.
Because it's not like you're seeing a different portion or a different angle of the moon. You're seeing all the same amount of the moon being visible. The only difference is that you're seeing it upside down, depending on what hemisphere you're in.
Upside down.
Did he say angle? Can you all hear the video, by the way?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
You're going to need a flat Earth for that, isn't it ironic? We just literally covered that about 25 seconds ago. How ironic. You got no purpose telling us about what angles will do, Globe Believer. You'll need a flat plane for that.
Down to what?
Compared to the other hemisphere.
Who's it upside down to?
Hemi, what now? Why would you assume that you're antipodal when in the south?
Between comparing the north and the southern hemisphere observers.
Hemi, what now? North and south. Hemisphere is an assumption of antipodal positioning. Why would you make such an assumption? Oh, because you've got a model that derived hemispheres from a flat plane measurement. Oh, well, you can't take the Earth to be flat and then infer that you've got a spherical hemisphere to assume when travelling south. Absolutely not.
So who's upside down, who's right way up?
It's relative to each other.
It's not relative to anything when your descriptions come from a flat plane measurement to derive the model to infer that you're antipodal. Definitely not. Your inference of being antipodal will require a flat plane.
So in other words, me in the south sees it at a different orientation based on someone in the north.
No, they don't. That's just his assumption, Flatzoid.
Sees it as a different orientation.
No. Why are you asking him if his assumption's true? Point out that it's his assumption.
Location based then.
Yep.
You're just affirming his assumption over and over again, Flatzoid. Point out that antipodal positioning by assumption will require a flat plane. Because to have two spheres, go on, whoever that was, feel free.
Sorry, but what they're talking about there is how someone sees the moon. So regardless of what the guys are doing, it still is true that different locations will allow you to view the moon differently. As in the pattern on the moon will be at a different angle and different orientation.
And?
That would be an awesome point on moon debate, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and if I assume antipodal spherical positioning when viewing the moon, that's an explanation for it. No, because the derivation of that assumption for hemispherical antipodal positioning would be derived from a flat plane, wouldn't it, Brian? So how can one possibly reify this conception when you know that the conception has been derived from a flat plane that would preclude you being antipodal?
Yeah, but when Flatzoid talks about a change in location, he's not talking about a sphere. He's just talking about a change in location on a flat plane.
No, he's not. He's asking him specifically if he means in a different location, antipodal, because that's what he begged the question of when he made his assertion about the moon and its orientation. So Flatzoid's not pointing out the begging the question fallacy. He's asking him to clarify it. Any more? Is that it?
No, I'm not going to argue on. Just play on a bit, I suppose.
Fair enough.
Great. So you can do this with demonstration, like sticking it on your ceiling and just walking around and seeing the location changes the orientation.
Again, but you will never get it to be 180 degrees flipped upside down.
Yes, you can. We've done that many times. It's demonstratable, and just because you say nah, doesn't stop it from being. Dude, you're giving me 2015-year arguments. This stuff has been debunked for years already. Everything you're talking about tonight, has actual explanation and cool.
Screen as much as you'd like. We still have another. I got 15 minutes on my clock. If you guys want to.
That'd be great.
Now, we are standing this side of your moon, looking this way. Which side does that arrow show? Upwards.
Mm-hmm.
Now we move to this side and we look at the moon this way. Which side does that arrow show to us now?
I'm just going to fast forward this basic stuff from 2015. Flatzoid's right.
Already invalidates that argument. Secondly, yes, it does. Secondly,
it doesn't at all.
Secondly, when we look at the sun, we're looking.
This is good because the guy just said it doesn't. It doesn't at all, actually. It does. It just showed that you go the opposite side and you see it the opposite way. That's just Flatzoid's point. And the guy saying it doesn't. It doesn't at all, actually. It totally does. He's just been shown it. It's totally dishonest.
Oh, I see. What you mean is we should point out, rather than highlighting the argument, as Flatzoid did quite adequately, we should point out this guy's ineptitude and behaviour as an individual by in the concise rendition of how it's possible. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Flatzoid said to him, "You're just not on the situation," and he said, "I'm not." And then he goes and does it. An exact example of saying no.
No, I don't mind highlighting
you know
it. What he's doing is called a hand wave dismissal fallacy, which is to say that when you present a concise and easy to understand explanation for how, when you travel, the best concise demonstration of this was two mentions in one show. So David Weiss stuck a plate with a moon on the ceiling. You walk from one side of the room to the other. What do you know? It changes its orientation with respect to you. Wowee. Yeah, he's obviously, I fast forwarded through it because we all know it, but that's what Flatzoid's explained to him, and what he got back was a hand wave dismissal fallacy. Well worth pointing out, Brian.
Thank you.
Through more and more atmo, correct? The closer, the further away it goes, the more it seems to drop down to the horizon thanks to perspective. The more atmo we look through.
Sure.
So where there's more refraction, as you put it, based on your argument. No. So when we're looking through more density layer, it doesn't go through refraction. So it's very
sure.
selective. So it's very selective refraction.
Flatzoid, I agreed with you. I think you thought I said no. I said sure.
Okay, cool. So just based because of the distance from the sun and the atmospheric lensing.
Do you get a distance to the sun? Hey, Flatzoid, cool. Come over here and let us know.
We have what we call parallax and perspective, and therefore it keeps it at that linear sinkages into the so-called horizon. So do you want me to demonstrate how I can show something going down?
Yeah, why is Flatzoid getting into this wrangle-dangle? I mean, in this respect, the horizon isn't being utilized for anything other than the contrapositive assertion that a glober needs when they assert that the horizon is a physical limitation called Earth curve. For Flatzoid to be making a demonstration in this regard only serves to undo a positive claim that he's not making. Has the other guy made it?
The whole thing is messed up because what Flatzoid said, he said atmospheric lensing. Now, that's vague, to be honest with you, the atmospheric lensing. The atmospheric lensing, the word is wrong. But secondly, that's not correct. I've already shown everyone, made a video even about the sun. The sun at the horizon is just optical, officially. Because officially, the horizon is not a physical location, it's just an optical location. And officially, the sun, when it's close to the horizon, you're not seeing the sun, you're seeing the sun mirage. So when you think you're seeing a physical sun going down behind a physical horizon, you're not. Officially, both the horizon and the sun are just purely optical phenomena. You're not seeing the sun. It's called in the morning and in the evening. It's called the sun mirage. That's where you see it all melty sometimes. That's not. They don't claim that's the actual sun. They claim it's not. So the sun and the horizon, they have to claim, is constantly refracted. So what's that? Two optical phenomena. The meeting of two optical phenomena. That is the official claims. That's the only thing I ever need to say about sunsets. Just point out those two things.
By moving it in the distance over a flat surface.
Well, I want to see bottom up
I got a
obstruction.
question.
Go free.
Did this individual that Flatzoid's arguing with just agree that there are horizontal boundaries of gases as you rise from surface level?
He did, but he didn't have it phrased to him in that way. But yes, essentially.
Okay.
You'll need a flat Earth for those horizontal boundary layers. You didn't say it, so I may as well. I'm not stealing thunder. It's totally down to John.
And bottom-up obstruction. Very simple. I showed you bottom-up obstruction a few minutes ago with refraction alone. Now I can show you bottom-up obstruction on flat surfaces by doing actual demonstrations without showing refraction. Well, there's always refraction, obviously, because we...
But why? What does this serve for you, Flatzoid?
Always look through an Atmo, as you say. But let me quickly move to my... I'm just going to get the video up so long. But yeah, if you can understand that the sun is far enough away that the angular size...
Is it? I didn't know we had the distance. Second time.
Change will be very minimal. It's the same as looking at something in the distance like a mountain.
Is it? Nah, definitely not. Sun behaves very differently, Flatzoid. Have you looked at it recently? Go and have a look at it for a while. See how it behaves. Don't behave like a mountain.
The further away it is,
definitely not.
The less chance you have of it seeing to change angular size change.
Sorry, what is this? What optics debate? Why are you arguing about this?
Yeah, why is Flatzoid trying to explain this? What's the point of trying to... You don't need to explain this. Like, I don't know what the sun is. That's the end of that.
It's not your burden.
I'm sorry. What the hell is he even explaining? Like, when he talks like this, I can barely even make out what he's trying to explain.
I don't know. It's like he's got sympathy for people that want to ask the question, well, if the horizon's not Earth curve, not that that's been postulated by anybody thus far, if the horizon's not Earth curve, well, what is it then? Oh, well, it's angular limitations in atmosphere, says Flatzoid. Okay.
Did he say that?
Why are you answering this question no one's answered, and how does it prove a flat plane? John's done it. He's described how the horizontal boundary layers, if you're going to go into the wrangle-dangle of refraction, again, to the benefit of the glober, then you're going to need a flat plane for it. But he's just picking out keywords, right, John? You're not in the wrangle-dangle. I'm not decrying what you've done, and I'm sure you would do it in the wrangle-dangle, absolutely without question, in fact. My point is that why is Flatzoid arguing this? He's not even arguing it. He's making claims about how we get a horizon and how optical phenomena are. It's like, what relevance does this have beyond their claim that the horizon's Earth curve?
Yeah, I'm not able to listen as well as I'd like to, but there are keywords I do listen for, and gradation has become one of those.
Well, if somebody's going to ask you, like, if it's not Earth curve, then what is it? The answer should be not Earth curve.
Not my problem.
It's not Earth curve.
Yeah, not exactly. Not Earth curve, not my problem, not going to be answered by me, not my claim. That's the answer. Well, yes, we have all gone through the Reekin, and we've all been through the mill, and we've all figured out how this stuff works. Yes, we could all give you the maths for the Rayleigh criterion and go through how angular representations give you the horizon. Why would we? It's not Earth curve. That's your claim that it is. That's the end of that. Why am I going to be charged with anything? I don't need to be. It's not my claim. But if you want me to talk about the horizon, I can, and I can go into how it's useful. It saved lives. I can do that. Proving a flat Earth as I do so. But it's nothing to do with how the horizon represents or is formed. In spite of the fact that I can explain that, I'm not going to be charged with that burden. What? So I can have my explanations poor that they would be. I'm not a bloody optician of how angular resolution is formed. I'm not a mathematician if I'm going to describe the Rayleigh criterion. Why would they be doing any of it? It doesn't serve me at all.
Well,
sorry, Flatzoid.
Why is he talking about? Why is he talking about? Why is he talking about refraction? He said there's always refraction. Is there? We're looking through the same medium. It might be denser or closer to the surface, but we're looking through the same medium. Now, I don't know. See, the refraction claim is, when I hear refraction, it's vague because Snell's law is a change of medium.
Absolutely correct.
We're not changing the medium. It's just slightly denser medium closer. The same medium is more dense close to the Earth's surface.
Yeah,
now, will that have an effect on things? Well, there's the sun mirage that exists. Is that because of that? I don't know. But I don't need. Why is he going into a whole thing about refraction, trying to explain something he doesn't need to explain?
I don't
understand it.
But terrestrial refraction has nothing to do with optics.
He's giving it to him.
One more time, John.
He's giving it to him.
Yes, he is.
Flatzoid, you've given this Baltard refraction. You don't know what refraction is, son. This is going to turn into a Flatzoid evaluation of Flatzoid. This is a travesty.
I thought it already was.
No, look, it's fair. It doesn't matter who the person is. Everyone's fair game. That Nick guy just as fair game as Ruhif, and Flatzoid has specifically asked me to critique this. So I know Flatzoid well enough to know that he wants to progress his argumentation style. He wants to be critiqued. I know it. He's asked me to.
And why is he giving him refraction?
I think we can
have Flatzoid come on here. Have Flatzoid come on here and explain what refraction is and give some examples. I must have been teaching on this for 8 frigging years. All right? So come on here. Let's get this over with. My word.
Okay. Number one, just because we have a line of communication with him doesn't mean we're going to be demanding he does anything. He's asked me specifically to critique this. If he's doing things wrong, he's going to find out about it. Let's be honest. Let's just move on.
Sorry, my mouse is getting a bit slow on me. Just looking for a specific video where I show...
The angular size change that we see corresponds to 93 million miles, not to like a couple thousand miles in a...
Sorry, angular size change? Oh, sorry, somebody else got there first. Go on, whoever it was, you can say it. I'll rev up my V10.
What angular size change? And how does that correlate with 93 million miles? Like, how is the 93 million miles and micro changes that we would have in that scenario going to even show angular size change? Like, what kind of a statement is that?
Arwin, you piss around with your Yugo, see if it's got some oil, make sure it's got fuel, make sure it's going to make its way along that beaten track, and I'll leave the mic open for someone else. Don't take offense.
Oh, you're going to need a flat Earth
You're going to need a flat Earth for that.
Why?
Because you need
I
a
don't
flat
know.
Earth for every
surface to
damn
be
thing.
hollow.
That's too many people. Too many people. Right, we got it. We're going to need a flat Earth for his angular size change, regardless of if it's true or not. Why will he need a flat Earth for that? Anybody, just one person.
I think this is one time you don't, because you're just talking about a distant object, and it's the angle between its from the top to bottom or from left to right. So you don't need a plane of reference for this particular claim.
What object?
But now if you're talking,
You just presuppose it's an object.
oh
Did
my
you hear
God,
him?
Yeah, but you're missing. No, you will need a flat plane. I'm sorry, you will need a flat plane. Not that what John said is mostly correct, but you will need a flat plane. He's talking about an angular size. That's perspective. That's reality. There is no perspective in the heliocentric model.
Hold
It
on.
doesn't exist. So we can't talk of they can't talk about an angular size change of anything, because that's perspective, not Earth curve.
But hold on. Angular size is not exclusively perspective based. It takes place within the realm of perspective.
Yes, it is. That's
What?
the whole point.
No,
Excuse me?
You have no proof of location.
No,
Angular
Alvin.
hold on,
Angular
Alvin.
size
No,
is
let me just correct that. Hello. Hello. That's specifically what perspective is, Arwin.
Yeah, but not all angular sizes are exclusively perspective based.
What?
Because you don't have proof of any of the celestials actually having been applied to perspective, because there's no location that we can prove.
Yeah, we're not claiming it, Arwin. The bowler is claiming, wants to talk about angular size changes, when angular size doesn't exist within his paradigm. He's just claimed there was an angular size change. Right? That is
fair enough.
Can't claim. That's the point.
Right, but the weirder thing is that he's claiming angular size change, which is like absurd, really, because first off, it doesn't happen, and then like what?
Well,
but the point is, but you said that angular size is always applying perspective. That's not true.
Oh, that's the minor point. Stop.
It is.
Hold on, Arwin. Bloody hell. No, there's two main points that need to be made here. Right, first is John's, which is notwithstanding Brian's. I'll come on to that next. Which is to say, if you just look at an item and describe its angular size change, forget whether or not you're going to describe it as perspective. It's moot, Arwin. The point is that you can describe that change in angle through something in the sky and not necessarily reference it to how you leveled your device to get the angle change throughout the night or whatever you're measuring. You can just reference it to the item itself in degrees. It was this many degrees, it's now that many degrees. That's just angle change or angular change. You can call it, quote, angular size, although that would be outrageous for something in the sky that's not physically defined and has a physical size, like the stars. But beyond that, John is correct. You can just describe how the size of the angle that you measured through your device without referencing anything else has changed. Perfectly acceptable.
Right.
However, then we get on to Brian's point, also absolutely correct. When you're in a debate about what the nature of the reality we are faced with is, and it's ball-shaped according to them, they've got no means of referencing angles. Absolutely correct, Brian. How dare you? There's no angular size, and you're begging the question, proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. Everything's in Muppet vision. Nothing's going to change in angular size. How dare you? You have no right to be using these angles. You will need a flat Earth for that.
Okay.
Exactly.
I agree with that part, at least. I guess I took it a bit too much into the really is.
You took it into the weeds.
Not so much on the ball and how they take it, because we do have angular sizes.
Okay, I've tried to stop you taking it into the weeds, and now you can't bloody stop. Yes, thank you. We've got the two main points. You're like, oh, I'm sorry, I tried to take it into the two really is. No, we're going off into the weeds when we're talking about angles and flat Earth, and you're talking about whether or not angular resolution is actually perspective. Who cares?
I don't know. Yesterday you would have cared. You would have not interrupted me halfway.
It's not about the day. It's about how pertinent your points are. I've got no bias towards you as just, oh, well, Arwen's opened his mouth, therefore it's great. No.
No, but I just had an objection.
Oh, my God.
By the direct association of perspective with celestials, because perspective exclusively is about...
We're not claiming it, Arwin.
Oh, here we go again.
You're not listening.
I'm not
Yeah, but the other guy
listening.
making a
I am
claim, and the other
listening. I
guy's a
listened to the
caller.
whole damn thing. I listened to
You're not
all of
listening,
your
Alvin.
arguments. I listened to Nathan reiterating your entire arguments. I did listen. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, thank
Well,
you. The
how
80
come you're
people
not
watching
getting-
really want to hear you yelling down your mic. Thank you. Can we move on?
Yeah,
Okay.
Alvin.
Then maybe
don't know.
stop
1 second.
interrupting me.
Why?
Well, no, I'm going to speak, Alvin. I'm going to speak, right? Alvin,
can we
you're
save
trying
it?
to critique us on something we didn't say.
Can we save
we
this?
didn't say
Can we
that.
save it
The
for the after
caller
show?
said-
Hello? Hello? I'm going to start the video regardless. Please, can we save it for the after show? Thank you.
Flat Earth dome.
That 93 million miles you're claiming,
But you can crunch
That
the
nine-
numbers yourself.
that 93 million miles away you're claiming, is that with refraction?
What? The 93 million miles he's claiming will also need a flat Earth because it's a derivation of the R value with Kepler and Huygens, and they got the R from a flat Earth. So his 93 million miles needs a flat Earth to claim. Go ahead, whoever that was.
93 million
gonna-
miles. 93 million miles was also refraction. What?
Yeah, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah, okay. Kiwi beat me to the punch.
I'll do it
Just a
to
long second, so.
I'll do it to diffuse the situation. Flatzoid, you ass! Get your ass in here. You're gonna have a definition for no. Anyway, let's move on.
No, the only pertinent question there is how was this 93 million miles measured? That's the only thing I'd be interested in there. Let's go into this 93 million miles you're claiming. How was it measured? Who measured it?
Oh, can I do
Yeah, we're
little
getting
violin
into the real
sounds?
violin
Oh,
sounds.
I've got I need a harp so we can go like and then we go through the whole wrangle dangle of the story. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, well, now it's up to me to say it. My point
But
is
now
that
the
that's
pressure's
question.
on. I mean,
No, it's not that pressure's on. I can give it to you right. Give it to you right now. You should just leave me finish the point I was making. Forget it. Right. They took an angular size of the sun, right? Then they pre-assumed the Earth was a certain size, right, in diameter. They pre-assumed that Venus was the same diameter size, and when Venus crossed in front of the sun, they used the two angular sizes.
Is that with refraction?
determine
It's just
the distance. Why are you playing the video after asking me to detail it? Nathan.
I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to continue the video.
Yeah, but he asked me. I was trying to make a point. Then he didn't want to hear that point. He wanted me to detail the thing. And I went to detail it. He went playing the video. I don't know what's going on.
Well, maybe he just has more trouble dead on interrupting you like he doesn't have with me. So he just ignores you and just plays over you
exactly.
instead.
I'm just keeping things fair, Arwin. That's all I'm doing. Perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, that's anything but fair, though.
Well,
I don't
Nathan, why are you
Yell
asking me
at
to
Nathan.
detail
I'd
things and
rather
then play
have
the
you
video?
play over me and you yell at Brian instead. How
He
about
just told
that?
me off. He told me off because he had a different point to make, and I thought it was pertinent because he specifically mentioned how do they get their equator value, and I thought he was going to launch into Huygens, so I just went along with it. But that's not where he was going. I got it wrong.
Well, I wasn't going anywhere. I was trying to. All I was trying to do, Nathan, was point out that Flatzoid should be asking this guy to verify this 93 million miles. Then you asked me to detail it, so I went detailing how they come up with the 93 million miles, and then you played the video over me. Not my fault.
I blame
I was
Arwin
trying
for
to
that.
give you what you asked for.
I blame Arwin.
No, you just gotta yell at Brian, right? Don't let him just ramble. If there's something wrong with how he responded, you gotta actually say it, like you always do with me, even when I didn't ask for any commentary or I just
Everything
wanted
Brian's
to
done
finish
so
my
far has been
sentence.
great. I only overtalked him with the video for purely amusing the audience. Obviously, it was a risk, but everything Brian said has been worthy. You got shut down because you went off into the weeds about whether or not angular size was perspective or not, when the point was, it was non sequitur to the point. You're like, yesterday you were nice to me, and you're like, we were making great points. What do you want?
It is a great point. Just because it's in the weeds, you know what's in the weeds? Great undiscovered plants. You know, you don't know all the plants until you go into the weeds and find a new one.
No, else is
There's
in the
also
weeds.
snakes in there.
Alligators.
Damn it, you beat me to the punch again.
Alligators are not in the weeds; they're in the swamp, in the
In the
ponds.
weeds in the swamp. That's where we're going. That's what we mean by in the weeds. We're into the swamp of some ambiguity that somebody can come along and go, actually, perspective is angular size, and therefore the Earth's a sphere. Just because they're going to pick up on that garbage, that wonderful point you made, and roll with that rather than the actual point being made by Brian. Now, yes, I rumpused him with the video just because it's, going to become a bit of a thing just because it annoys him so much. And, a couple of commenters really found it amusing. So I just thought I'd do it in the middle of a live show just to get a laugh. Now, I'm sorry for that, Brian. It was a cheap shot just for a laugh. But, I couldn't stop laughing. That's why I remained on mute.
Right, so why I did the thing that I did, why I brought us into the weeds and slightly outside.
Oh, no, someone stop him!
No, not stop me. This is an important point. There is a giant issue with reification among flat earthers and globers about the celestial lights and position and perspective and all this. It's a big issue that's still very relevant and still confuses people. And that's because I always look at that point, at that where people reify their understanding of what they're looking at.
Okay.
And then they do it like, oh, no, the flat earthers got it wrong, or no, the globers got it wrong. But what if they all got it wrong and they just don't really realize it,
John would have called this as an argument from silence fallacy if I was claiming this earlier in the show, exactly what did happen. But I won't do it to you now, Arwin, because obviously you're very sensitive. So we'll just get on to the video.
I don't know what you mean with refraction.
Is it with refraction that the angular size changed with 93 million miles?
The 93 million miles includes mostly non-atmospheric space between us. So it's a weird question. I don't understand your question. 93
You're
million
claiming
miles.
it's 93 million miles away. So does that calculation of 93 million miles away take refraction into account?
What? Calculation?
What?
Measurement.
What's this have to do with refraction? Oh my.
What's non-atmospheric space?
Refraction doesn't change the distance.
Refraction changes the angular size.
But it doesn't change the distance. It's still 93 million miles.
We're talking about angular size now. So so how do you know the distance if the angular size, if refraction is not taken into account?
What?
I don't know if Flatzoid even knows himself where he's going with it. I detected a little bit of a quiver in his voice then, like he doesn't know where he's going with this.
This is nonsense.
Maybe I'll get clarity from Flatzoid if he lets me know.
I'm not sure even refraction changes the angular size that much. I don't know. I'd have to see that demonstrated.
You say refraction warps an image. That's what.
Yeah. That was what the psi was for, I think. I think he's got something else on his mind. He's scrolling his way through videos. It's like, we're men, Flatzoid. Just focus on the task in hand.
Why you guys claim things can come over.
It distorts an image, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just looking for the right item videos. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong place. I've got so much videos and photos. I keep on having to go look for it. But yeah, there's definitely not.
You want to talk about the flight times then?
Well, no, I'm just quickly getting it. But so long, I would like you to tell me how you can validate 93 million miles of your sun.
I mean, yeah, you can do. I think they did a Doppler test even of it.
A Doppler test.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Can you go into more detail?
Yeah, I want to go into detail on this one.
He's just making
It was in the
shit up.
60s.
Well, let's see what he's got.
All
The
right.
military, the Doppler test, bounced a radar off the sun 93 million miles away. You can
Oh.
He wants it.
Well, we could go with QE's point that it's claimed to be a black body, or that you could just point out he needs a plane of reference for radar.
Okay. Let's go
Wasn't
black
the
body.
point about a black body that nothing actually bounces off it?
Well, that's the conclusion that you've given before with the padding that I was going to offer around that, Arwin. But yes, absolutely correct.
Well, no, I'm sorry. It's not QE's point. In their own citations, it's a black body. I'm sorry, QE. I apologize. I don't mean to ascribe that positive claim to you. That's their claim, is that it's a black body.
No, but it's QE that's highlighted that it is their positive claim that it's a black body, therefore wouldn't be reflecting anything. And the second, which is the one I thought we'd get first.
You're going to be a flat out for that.
Okay.
But this is nonsense. You should never leave this Doppler nonsense even get involved. It's like who originally measured it? What did he do? That's what's important, because that's when you get back to we just begged the question a load of times. That's what, because the Doppler thing, you're getting into Doppler and is the sun claimed to be a black body and all nonsense. And yeah, pertinent points. But let's go back to the original. Who measured it originally? What did they do?
Well, Flatzoid's giving him that to chew down on, so he's bought himself some time. I think, to be fair, some of the critique we're giving Flatzoid is because he's distracted with his own content. He's the producer of this show, and he's, there's only so much you can do if you're actually debating. But there we go, Flatzoid. You live and learn.
Do you know what a black body is? What's black body?
It radiates with a black body spectrum.
And with you'd probably say they used.
It radiates black body. Yeah, I knew a girl like that.
You got Elmer Fudd just making shit up.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
He's clueless. Yeah, he's absolutely clueless. Good.
What did they use to get this radio wave?
It's just...
Hold on, you're not going to pick up on the fact he's just told you it's radiating black body.
A radio wave emitter, I don't know.
So it's like a ham radio wave, in other words, like a ham radio.
I don't know what they did. I mean, it was like the military technology in the 60s. I'm not the expert on the mechanism that they did.
I don't know what they did.
This is your standard, ballers. This is your standard. Surface puke regurgitation. Go ahead, John. Refracted.
I was wanting to laugh when he said that about emissions. Like, I started giggling, but now, like, I've finally got my breath. I swear this guy might be a comedian. There's no way he's this Dunning-Kruger.
Oh, yes, he is.
I bet you're right.
I know that they bounced the radio back and down. Same thing that they do with the moon to figure out the distance between the moon.
Again, if it's a black body, how's it going to let radiation? How's it going to be able to bring a radio wave back? Obviously, you don't understand what's going on.
It's just bouncing off of it.
It can't bounce if it's black body.
No, that's actually not true.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so
no, it's actually not. You can bounce off the same way you bounce off the ionosphere. You bounce off of a plasma because of electric charges.
So yeah, it's the same as last time. He's overcome his argument by pointing out it can't reflect if it's a black body. That's by their own citation in the ball Earth rhetoric of what the sun is. Therefore, it's not going to return a radio signal. Now, albeit in a different order, Flatzoid concisely went through that. He'd got it in his arsenal. Obviously, it's ready in the forefront of his mind, so he can rattle it off while he's looking for the video that he's now got queued up, right? Fair enough, that's his method, and that's where he took the guy. But what we've then ended up, and as Brian was so keen to highlight it last time, we'll highlight it again. He's got the hand wave dismissal going on straight after. No, that's not right. That's not right. You don't know what a black body is. You don't know how they measured it. He's undone it. But not only do you not understand how he's undone it, you don't understand your own bloody claim. So how are you going to understand how he's undone your claim? You don't understand how your own claim works. But he's still going to tell Flatzoid he's wrong. Yes, Dunning-Kruger. Absolutely, gentlemen.
What I understand.
Sorry, go ahead. Say one more time, Refracted. Sorry, I started the video.
Yeah, black is not a spectrum. I don't know what that, white and black are not in the color spectrum. They're shades of color. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're black and white are just how dark or illuminated. You know what I mean? Or how white. I don't know why he thinks that.
Well,
that's how I see what you're saying. That's how he's describing it back to Flatzoid. But in terms of what the attribute that Flatzoid's ascribing to the sun from their own rhetoric, in terms of his claim that you can bounce a radar signal off it, is that it's a black body. Therefore, it will not reflect the radio wave or the signal that's being sent to it to bounce off it. It cannot. But he, like I say, doesn't understand his own claim or therefore the rebuttal. Dunning-Kruger.
I don't even think he understands basic colors. Is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
The ionosphere in the Earth's atmosphere. It's a layer of the
Iono, what now?
Earth's atmosphere.
He's also claimed that the sun is plasma. Yeah, see, this is the thing. Is you need to bring it back to the start.
Do we? Full on rewind?
No, I mean the start of his claim. But this is the way you go to after you don't bring him to the very start of what is the distance? How is the distance to the sun measured? When you bring him back to that original point, all of this goes out the window because you have to prove that first. This is all delta X claims based off of X. Get back to X. That's all that matters.
Gotcha.
Do you understand what I mean?
Once you've debunked that you can't get a radio signal back from it if it's a black body, you haven't got a distance to the sun. Next, because the rest of your claim fails.
No, not even that, because as soon as you start talking about bouncing the signal off of, I suppose, a black body, you're in within the, not that it's not a totally valid point, and it's a good thing for people to know and remember and learn about, but you go back to what you asked me to detail that you played the video over me on, was how did you get this distance to begin with? The original, it's like, don't be telling me about how in surveying they use your value, who measured it? Do you know what I mean? Let's get to the measurement. And you get back to a heap of nonsense about angular size and pre-assumption and rubbish. That's what you get. A circular logic.
Excuse me, Lakota Wind in the chat. No, Arwen is not being bullied. If you've got a good point, you get praise. If you get us into the weeds, you get told off. It is nothing to do with Arwen and everything to do with the point being made. This is not personal. I don't care who interjects with garbage. If QE gets us into the weeds, which he does occasionally, number one, he'll probably recognise it immediately and shut up, unlike Arwen did, which is why he got an earful. That's just how it goes on this show. It's nothing to do with Arwen as an individual. I just want to clarify that for the chat before that turns into a thing. It's absolutely not the case. Arwen knows it too, as much as he'd like to bleat and be a martyr.
I didn't think I was being bullied. I don't know where he's getting that from.
He's being a prick because it suddenly martyrs you, and I'm not going to allow that either.
Right, if I really felt I was being bullied, I would just leave.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry,
Please
Brian.
donate to my PayPal. I'm seriously poor, by the way.
I love it. Arwen takes it as an opportunity to beg. Hit Arwen up on PayPal. He's very poor and hungry.
The thing is, all you're doing is you keep on begging the question based on your belief, and
we're not begging the question. We're begging for Arwen. Poor, hungry, like me.
You're saying because of my belief, therefore globe. Everything you haven't given any evidence for anything you've been claiming. You're just making a statement of claim and saying therefore it is. Okay, but now I'm going to show.
None of that is accurate.
Now I'm going to show on screen.
It is. He's just undone your claim. You qualified how you knew the distance to the sun, and he's undone it. So he's summarising how you've come with a claim, you failed to back it, and you're saying that's not true. Again, Dunning-Kruger, hand wave dismissal.
Again, an actual demonstration of bond obstruction. Sorry that it's on the side though, but it's on a...
What am I supposed to be looking at right now?
This is a flat bar, piece of aluminium. It's
oh God, it's 90 degrees off. So if you're watching this, tilt your head to the right.
Flat. It's on my mixing bench. It's 100% flat. It's manufactured to be flat. Now I've got little what can I say, bottle caps placed on there, and then a little bolt at the back. As we're going to show you, we're going to zoom in, and notice I got a reference to a bolt showing I'm above all the time. Okay, there is a bottle cap, another bottle cap, and then that bolt there. Does this bottle cap look lower than that bottle cap?
I cannot even make out the individual bottle caps in this image. I'm not gonna lie.
Are you looking on your phone or your computer?
I'm looking on my laptop screen right now. It just looks like a bunch of black objects, but I can't differentiate them. I'm not seeing anything.
I'm just gonna paste it in here so we can zoom it in for you to show you. Can you see it better now?
I see some darker black objects. Is that the bottle caps?
That's the bottle caps. This is the top of the one cap. This is the top of the other cap, and then this is the top of the bolt.
Okay. This is very like jumbled.
Does that bottle cap look lower than that bottle cap?
Oh, you're going to plow on. We had a choice there, Flatzoid did. Look, the guy saying it looks... It's a bit like me with Polaris earlier. Well, which one's... I can't see it. If the guy was here, I'd be like, well, it's moving. Well, I can't see it. But Flatzoid's plowed on anyway. Okay.
Then which bottle cap?
This bottle cap? The top one?
Oh,
Does it look
okay.
higher?
I see that. I see the top one now. It's much closer to the screen than the one that's farther away, right?
Great.
Okay.
So it
now,
looks like it's going down, correct?
Can I make a suggestion? You should have used different colors of bottle caps other than
Good suggestion.
black on a black background.
Doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, it does.
My whole...
it makes it a lot easier to see, but okay.
Okay, but anyway, you can see it's showing it go down based only on optics perspective because the angular size changes.
Yeah, it's getting farther away. It's getting smaller.
Great. So this bolt here is what I want to show in contention here with the video. Notice when I lift it away, you can see the bottom of that bolt. When I'm going a bit lower, it starts to vanish. And this side of top here is another bolt to show reference that I'm above the bar. That bar, I think I showed in the beginning where I actually, it's not on this one, where I actually painted the bottom red. You don't see the red part of that bolt anymore. This is showing bottom obstruction on a flat surface. This is just the one. I'm going to see if I can quickly get that.
Scared.
How did we get to this from the sun? They've not concluded the point? I'm confused now. Are we just moving on and ignoring?
He did make an effort to
previous subject?
summarise. He said, I've undone your point and you've just hand waved it. And he was like, no, I haven't. That's not even true. Then they moved on to a new point, which is this.
Okay. So, okay. All right. Good deal.
That one where I want to show you the sun setting, in other words, because that's specifically what.
Okay.
Flatzoid, from what I can tell, is starting to try and explain how the sunset works, right? Because Flatzoid is not aware of the sun mirage claim, and he's not putting together that the horizon is a claimed constantly refracted position. Horizon on a globe makes no sense, and the sun at sunset and at sunrise is claimed to be the sun mirage, not the actual sun. That's why that's the only one we ever see doing those things. The only celestial we see doing these type of things at the horizon is the sun. We don't see it with the stars. I don't think we see it with the moon. But it's known as the sun mirage. That's what Flatzoid doesn't know. Like, their official claims that they just kind of don't promote. So officially they're claiming there's no physical sun going down behind the physical horizon. And that's what this guy is trying to argue for. And Flatzoid is trying to explain how a sunset would work using perspective when it's not necessary.
And then a bit further to that, I think he's trying to
to
link it. Oh, go ahead from Discord. Sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think he's trying to demonstrate bottom-up obstruction on a flat surface.
That's what I was
But
going to say.
I don't know.
Exactly. He is linking it back to try and make it into a flat Earth proof by saying, look, because I can induce this on my flat table, Earth is therefore flat when you see the same effect at the horizon. I think that is where he's going, Duncan. Yes.
What you asked for?
All right, we've got about 5 minutes left there, fellas, before we go to Q&A.
I really want to make the flight times too, because that was kind of the main argument I presented.
I'd love to get to the flight times. But we're going to get
another
there
2
now.
minutes on the clock.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, I just want to quickly get to this, just the video to show things do go down thanks to perspective. It's almost there by the video. Sorry, I just got so much things on my channel. But yeah, you see, it is just optical. We can show this optical all day long, and we can.
I don't think that you've demonstrated that, but okay.
So it didn't look like it was going down.
No, I mean, I literally didn't see anything.
Okay. I mean, I had to slant my head sideways, but How did you manage to tell him that they should have been in different colours, with him detailing which one did what, with you agreeing as he did so, for you to turn around after the fact and say, I didn't see anything? Okay. Just pure hand wave dismissal number 3.
Have you realized the whole evening so far, your only rebuttals, I don't see it, so therefore it's not?
Yeah, because you haven't shown me anything I can see with my eyes, dude.
What?
All your videos are like really blurry and like it's just a bunch of like jumbled objects that you can't make out clearly or distinctly.
That's a lie, but okay. Anyway, check, guys.
That's what you just showed.
Okay, now this one is on in one of my primer booth. I'm going to show it's a flat surface.
So this is somebody that undoubtedly would go to their evidence later and say, look at this boat at the horizon, right? Now, just want to make a little mental note. I don't like your evidence. It's a bit blurry. The quality's not good. So if anything this guy presents is anything like boats or buildings in the distance and they're not 100% sharp and I can't make out the graffiti on the walls, then I'm going to have something to say about it.
This light source is going to stay at exactly the same elevation, moving away in the distance, and it's going to appear like it's sinking into the distance. Notice that this top...
That's just perspective, dude.
Yeah. Does it look like it's going down?
Not on a globe, it isn't. You don't have any perspective in your Earth curve assertion. Everything stays the same feet or meters value, regardless of distance in Earth curve calculations. See this 100-foot building? It's got 30 feet missing. Yes, 100-foot building. Well, what distance? Oh, it doesn't matter, because you're asserting the Earth curve's blocking the bottom of it. Yeah? So when you say it's just perspective, not for you, it isn't.
Orthographic view, right? That's what they use. They don't have perspective. It doesn't change in angular size, really, within their conception.
No, it's
the actual size.
Exactly. It's given an actual size, feet or meters, and then it doesn't change with distance, excluding perspective, and taking the effect and calling it Earth curve. Go ahead, John.
Right, so it's useful for optics. It's useless for optics, sorry.
No, you're fine. But there's what they call the Earth curve calculator is, and you can, it shows you clearly surface level is a horizontal plane in that calculator, running parallel to eye level. So this is it. It's like a flat Earth model versus another flat Earth model of perspective. Or, it's real wishy-washy. Both of them need a flat Earth. How is he going to pull a win out of that?
Yeah,
he basically just conceded.
I've never argued against that. I was talking about bottom.
One more time from Discord. Sorry.
Yeah, you basically just conceded the point. As soon as you said perspective, it's no longer Earth curve causing it.
That's right.
Up obstruction.
That is bottom up obstruction. I just showed you.
You just put it behind a surface. You moved it.
No, it's still exactly the same. It's still exactly the same height.
Yeah, you moved it behind an object, man.
I didn't move it behind anything. It's still the same height.
You didn't show
look when I bring up the camera.
Yeah, his point is that the lamp is higher than the box, but at a given distance, the box obscures the lamp. The guy's objection is, well, you just put it behind the box. You're like, yeah, but it's taller than the box. But in your Earth curve maths, if you've got a 5-foot wave and a 100-foot building, it's never going to be the wave that's obscuring the building. It's only ever Earth curve. It's got nothing to do with perspective when you make your assertion that the bottom of a building's obscured, well, only because it's fallen behind the curve of the Earth. Well, if I turn around and say, well, that's just perspective, exactly as this Muppet just did, what are you going to say? No, it's not, it's Earth curve. Yes, because that's what they've done. They've hijacked perspective and called it Earth curve. It's just Flatzoid's not concisely summarized it well enough for the guy to take on board. Undoubtedly, we'll get hand wave dismissal number 4 out of him.
I see it's same height.
Yeah, good.
Sorry, just saying this is that confessional debating that Arwen talked.
Yeah, right on.
That's what but the difference is this guy doesn't know he's just conceded that it's not a globe. That's the difference. Whereas Wilhif knows.
But that's Flatzoid's fault. As soon as he said it's perspective, rather than just go, yeah, right, you should have said, okay, so not Earth curve.
Exactly.
Go back down.
Yeah, you need to show any bottom-up obstruction.
There we go. Sorry, I didn't show. I can show you a screenshot where it does show bottom-up obstruction. This is called occultation due to foreshortening. This is another optical effect. See there it shows?
Oh, okay. Okay. Obstruction from like forward shortening. That is just like because of the angular resolution, right?
No. This is based on just the angle alone.
I mean, just based on the angular resolution, no. But ultimately, you need to point out that it's not his Earth curve claim based on your demonstration. And now he's conceded it's therefore not Earth curve when he says it's just perspective.
Diffraction limit you're talking about.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Brian.
Yeah, I tried to get in before you went press play again. Yeah, this guy is like, I mean, Flatzoid, the debate is over now because the guy has just accepted perspective exists. Now the debate is over. It's done. There's no need to go further. If this is about flat versus globe, there is no perspective in globe. It's all our curve. You just accept the perspective. It's over. That's the end of that. Perspective exists. The globe can't. It's that simple.
Is what I showed in the previous one with the bottle caps and that bolt. That's due to the diffraction limit. This is
we know that is not the case.
Oh yeah, we do.
We know that is definitively not the case with the sun, because when you look at it with a solar filter, you see that there isn't any blending with the horizon. It is clear. It is crisp. There's no optical blending going on there. It's not
Did I say
Hey, Brian.
Yeah, sorry, Nathan. What's the sun? That's the next thing I get into. Yeah. After he can't prove a distance to the sun, after he accepts that perspective exists, now he wants to talk about the sun. What's the sun? I want to hear all these claims about that, and I'll tear them apart. You know what I mean? This is the nonsense. Like, he wants to, in his mind, the sun is this certain thing, but he has absolutely zero evidence for what this thing is supposed to be.
Can I give a shout out to Anthony Riley from Stopping Traffic in My Rest Ahead? Thank you.
Did people support you on PayPal?
No.
Oh.
Not yet.
Oh, I thought that's why you were shouting them out. Okay, no worries.
Diffraction, or did I say foreshortening due to the angle?
So then, I don't understand. You're literally just physically obstructing it with an object here. That's not what you're claiming is happening on a flat Earth.
Exactly what happens on a flat Earth. When something moves away, it's moving further away. You got waves in the ocean, don't you?
Sure, you got waves on the ocean, Flatzoid.
Which would be due to the angle, which would be closer to you and have a lot.
One more time.
This goes back to the physical obstruction of the plane of reference.
Right. It's the physical flat plane obstruction.
Yeah, that's the whole argument is about. They're saying there's a physical obstruction to the plane of reference within this calculation, which is dumb.
Larger angle to the bottom of the sun, so therefore it would occult the bottom of the sun as it moves away due to perspective. Because remember, due to perspective, your horizon rises relative to eye level, while everything above sinks relative to eye level. Everything moves to the vanishing point.
Do you honestly think that there's a sun thousands of miles up in the sky?
I don't know the distance.
Typically, that is being. I didn't give a specific distance. I just said thousands of miles.
Straw man.
He says, I didn't give a distance. I just said thousands of miles.
He's a retard.
That is high up in the sky.
Yeah, he's doing a weak-ass job of setting up this false dichotomy, eh?
Yeah, he could do a lot better than that, I would think. But, I mean, having the sun up 1,000 miles or, a few thousand miles above you, I guess it's a little bit better than having the ground above you a few thousand miles from the
He's not giving him a distance. He's not giving him a distance, though. It's just thousands of miles.
Yeah, it's not a specific distance.
That's like a few thousand.
Yeah, exactly. Right, on that note, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow.
Did it. And leave the guy go off on that.
That's
point I'm
right.
making
Very
is that-
interesting, Brian.
No, there was someone speaking. I thought there was someone speaking in from Discord. That's why I stopped. But the point I'm making is that what was Flatzoid's main go-to argument shouldn't have been his go-to argument. His go-to argument should have been that guy proving this nonsense he's claiming concerning a distance to the sun,
Needs
rather
to-
than
It
trying
should
to
have just been the
explain what's
horizon.
happening.
Duncan?
It should have just been the horizon. Was his argument. So he said, "Oh, what do you think blocks the sun?" And then when he says the horizon, just say, "Oh, well, the horizon's not Earth curve."
You do all realise that Flatzoid is a lot newer to this subject than we all are, right?
I know he's newer, but
he just doesn't seem that way because he's been around a while. It's like, oh, he's been around forever. Well, actually, he hasn't.
no, but his go-to argument concerning this, as soon as, like, my point is that he tried to make up time by asking the guy how did he get the distance to the sun, and have the guy come up with some nonsense about Doppler, while he was trying to get a video for his main argument. Whereas my main argument would be the sun is 93 million miles. How did you? Who measured that, and what did they do? Because I know what they did, and that's where I be. Straight to that. Leave the.
Well, he kind of did that with radar, but he didn't know how radar works, so he was never going to be able to understand that there's a plane of reference required to even, try to assert distance with radar. He would have never got that. He was just like, what was it, surface level puke kind of stuff.
I was expecting he wouldn't know what he's talking about, and I'd be expecting that, it's a win-win for us, because if you ask who measured this distance to the sun and what did they do, right? He's going to have to come up with nonsense, and if he knows the correct story, then he's going to have to lay out a story of complete circular logic nonsense. Circular reasoning.
That uses a flat plane for the measurement. And it goes crazy.
Yeah, well, it actually, I mean, it's all like, well, how do they get the distance to the sun? They pre-assume that the Earth is a globe, right, with a radius of 3959 miles, based off of their back engineering of flat Earth elevation angles to Polaris. Then they pre-assume that Venus is a sphere, also a sphere, of the same size. And then they pre-assume the sun is a sphere of much greater size, because when this little Venus transits the sun, based off of their angular sizes, like, they know the distance to Venus because they know the distance to the sun. They know the distance to the sun because they know the distance to Venus. So they use the angular sizes to create a circle jerk argument. It's a heap of nothing. They're just back engineering angular sizes and a flat plane measurements. And one supports the other.
Yeah, they'll never say it within the argument, probably because they don't understand how, the Keplerian elements work in orbital mechanics. But, you have to have orbits when you're talking about Mercury going around the sun, right? And then Earth going around the sun. But that's all measured from a plane of reference, too. So I don't know how far that's going to get him.
Yeah, but he won't even have to go into orbits for what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is they know the distance to Venus via its angular size in relation to the angular size of the sun when it transits the sun. They know the distance to the sun via Venus, via knowing the distance to Venus. So they know the distance to Venus because they know the distance to the sun, and they know the distance to the sun because they know the distance to Venus. Yes. So there's no original measurement of any kind here. It's like one support. It's like they know. It's like they know the age of the rocks because of the fossils they find in them. They know the age of the fossils because of the rocks they're found in. It's nonsense.
That's copyrighted.
Yeah, but I have to use it. Why would I use any other example? It's the best example.
Hey, Nathan, I didn't watch this. But are you done with this evaluation? Oh,
are you wanting to?
Is he getting coffee?
Hey, are you going to give a treatment on this, or what would this be, an assessment or a treatment? If you did do it, yeah, if you did it, just you.
This would be treatment. These are all treatments.
Yeah, but you said an assessment earlier, which you've given an assessment before.
What the
I
hell?
thought treatment was like I thought a treatment was like when you just focus on one person or a group of people from one position.
No, it could be whoever's talking. How did we get on? What?
Is that why you're asking? Is my point.
Why I'm asking what? I'm just asking if he's done because, see, I didn't watch that debate. I watched something else on Flatzoids. It was an after show concerning this debate, and it had a whole bunch of baltards on it, and it was really funny. And I was wondering if it'd do that tomorrow. He'd have you guys would have a hoot doing this one. It's
Okay, yeah,
only
I'd rather
50
do that. I mean, we've covered the debate to an extent, and it's a very long debate, so we're not going to like segment it like we did with a bit of Gerrans and Ruhifs. But in this case, the after show, if that's got some juicy tidbits, then yeah, I'm definitely down for that.
Yeah, let me give it to you.
Yeah, stick it on. If you can stick it in from you to me, and then I can find it easily tomorrow.
Nathan and Master. I'll put in Master B.
No, because then it'll disappear up the list of 100 messages that will come today. If you just send it to me personally.
What do you want? Okay.
Thank you.
Are we going to go through any more of the debate in there in the after show?
I think it would be better if we discussed what we might say about it if we were to discuss it tomorrow. I thought that would be a better way of doing this. It's up to you.
I would guess that this gentleman would attempt to do what Ruhif does with utilizing a flat plane to try to disprove a flat plane. But he's going to be less effective at it. How about that?
Did you get to the part where Flatzoid asked him what the Coriolis effect was?
No, Nathan won't play on the video, so
that's okay.
Talking about the video, we didn't get to see.
No, this is perfect. Had we have watched it, or if we were to watch it in future, how would you describe our reaction to it?
Why won't you? Why aren't we going for it?
Because I'm making a thumbnail for the live show, if you must know, but that sounds very unprofessional if I say that.
Okay, then.
Maybe you listen to what the guy said. I even put his comment in Skype, in Master B, and Ballbusters, and a couple other forums in Skype where the question was asked, what is the Coriolis effect? Wait till you hear what this guy says. This Grayson-based theory moron. Did anyone see that? You guys aren't looking at it.
I did. I saw that. I remember that.
If you have a timestamp, I will go to it just to satisfy Brian.
I don't have a timestamp for
Brian, it's all QE's fault.
It's your show. If you want to leave us with not trying to make up something to talk about in the after show, that's on you. That's not my business.
That seems extremely disrespectful to the audience, doesn't it, Brian?
I was thinking that's why I stayed silent, John.
Yeah, become a member and wait for the after show where we'll try and make something up to talk about.
Well, Neil's not here to antagonize. Somebody's got to do it. Has anybody heard from Neil?
No. Nope.
No, not a whisper.
Dead. I'm telling you, it's dead.
Don't say that.
The only explanation. He's not appeared on YouTube for a week. He's got to be dead.
Do you know how horrible you would feel if you were right about that?
absolutely horrendous. As my wife's staring at me now, telling me off camera, going, "If he'd actually died, you will feel terrible." Let's hope and pray that he is absolutely fine and just dealing with stuff. I do not in any way actually believe that he's dead, but typically if I go off YouTube for more than a day, I get people asking if I'm dead. So it's my nod to that as opposed to my suggestion that he's actually died. Hope that's clear.
In all fairness, I usually start those rumors that you passed away. So
Exactly.
Well, when I don't show up for a day, I immediately get swarmed by commenters asking me, "Oh, what happened?" and trolls telling me like, "Oh, has he finally given up yet?" So, yeah, they're all really it. For some reason, we're like such a big part of a lot of people's day, but not really for the reason that we want to. But they just can't get away from us. Then we're gone,
Shows
and it's
he's
like,
online on Skype.
what? Like the world is actually ending when we don't do a show, for them.
All right, so get ready tomorrow when the question is asked, what is the Coriolis effect? And this Grayson retard says, it's from your rotating inertial frame, basically.
What's his name?
Grayson.
How'd you spell that?
Grayson. And below that, I guess the continuation of his name is based theory.
rotating inertial frame.
Man, that's surreal. That's trippy as shit.
That's a married bachelor. He would fail intro to junior high physics. That's how stupid this guy is. I mean, a real knuckle dragger.
It just sounds really drunk. Right? You're standing still, but everything's still rotating.
No, he's not drunk. He's a pretender clown. He's a fraud. And a retard. I couldn't believe he said it. But that's the level that we're at here.
Yeah.
Well, 3 times within the bit. Sorry, Nathan, go on.
I was just going to say we used to get it back in the day before we got a reputation, which is your average numpty would come along and go, well, these guys think the Earth's flat, and they're just talking and I can join. Well, fine. I'll join and I'll tell them what's what because I know a surface level puke regurgitation rendition of our Earth's sphere. Therefore, I'll win. Dunning-Kruger was the best description you all gave of this guy.
Well, 3 times during that little bit of the debate we listened to, he went, no. 3 times he hand waved away things that were a debunk of his claim. So Flatzoid did. Like, there's no doubt about it. Flatzoid absolutely annihilated that guy in just that little section. Like when the guy said, that's just perspective, but that's the end of that then. You know what I mean? It's over. The guy lost it, but the guy doesn't even realize he lost. Rufus would know he lost, but he'd know he'd know if the other person doesn't pick up on it and the audience don't pick up on it, he'd just continue. But this guy doesn't even know that.
Wait till you hear the definition that's going to be given tomorrow by an actual physicist. From what I gather, his name is Dr. Tapioca Weasel. And wait till you hear this.
Tapioca Weasel?
Yeah.
What? What a name.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a real name to me.
No, I think that was just what their parents gave him. It's like calling your son Apple or your kid Sky or something. I think that's just his handle.
It could also be his Grabbler name.
Grabbler?
Yeah, like just the media name, right?
Wonder what his favorite color is.
If you're seeding weird stories or crisis actors typically have really weird names.
Like Jane
They
Doe.
aren't really their original name. That's the point.
Yeah, Tom Carpenter. Yeah, kind of nowhere. A nowhere name. Tom Carpenter.
Ian Hinton.
Yeah, there's always a Scott somebody, isn't it? Scott Renner or something. There's always some Scott somebody. Dale Scott, there's always these random nothing names and surnames that when they put them together, they just sound vague.
If somebody's called Scott Dale, that's very suspicious.
Are we judging somebody's credibility on their name?
Absolutely.
That was given to them?
This is high value stuff that we're doing here, John. Don't decry it.
Well, let's get back to what this guy, this supposed doctor. Please tell me, now this is an actual question. How many of these people on the opposing side have you been able to actually validate, have the credentials they say they have? There's a couple of them I know that do. Dr. Bob, he is definitely an MD, a doctor, right? Dr. Bob's an MD, Grant, right? I think, according to Blue Marble Science, he claims to be, I think, a retired engineer. But some of the things he says, how would you use that in engineering? If you think gas pressure doesn't require a container, now that doesn't mean he worked with gas pressure when he was engineering. But the point is that if you're a retired engineer, why would you even think that could be possible? Do you know what I mean?
You know what he used to do? He used to design Meccano sets. Did you not know that?
What?
No, he's very skilled with his hands. Extremely skilled. Like, no doubt about it.
Meccano, man, I'm telling you.
Is he a retired engineer?
Like a sanitary engineer kind of thing? Is that what well, John would say supervised. He would have to be supervised.
He's not very skilled between his ears, I'll tell you that much.
Well, there we go. How many people that we on the opposing side are actually who they claim?
You said Bob's a pseudoscience fallacy guy. He's an actual doctor. Really? Doctor of what?
Just a general practitioner, like a family doctor, you know.
Have you not seen him?
Whatever.
Have you not seen his lectures?
Medical doctor.
He tried to suppress one of his lectures. So I was on, I think it might have been Bev's, way back when, and he was moaning in the Discord that people were doxing him, and because they were posting this specific video of him giving a lecture to a whole council of doctors about the benefits of THC and what its medicinal uses were. He spoke very eloquently, I felt.
Yeah.
Really?
No, that was good. That was very good. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think so, because I asked him for years, what are the 4 levels of protein structure? And he had no clue. Actually, no clue. So, medical doctor from where? Tuco Community College in Tobago.
Hey, John, do you know what they call somebody who graduates medical school with a D?
No.
Yeah, but would you need to know that to be a general practitioner?
Hold on, Brian.
You ruined the joke, Brian.
Hold on, Brian.
No, we heard it. We heard it.
Yeah, what do you call him? Doctor.
I didn't hear it. What did he say?
All right, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. Well, would someone who's a general...
Fuck's sake.
He said, what do you call someone who qualifies from medical school with a D? Answer, a doctor.
Okay. I get it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I'm just saying, would someone who's a general practitioner need to know that about DNA?
Yeah, they would know that.
Would they need to know that? Would Adam maybe, but I didn't think
Adam's not a general practitioner.
Would need to know that.
Adam's not a general practitioner.
I know he's not. He's a chemist. But I'm just using an equivalence.
No,
I just don't.
Listen. Let me tell you. If you're a medical doctor, you know the answer to that question.
Well, I did see the video.
I am, in fact, a doctor. What would it be you'd like me to look at?
Look, I did see the video that Nathan's talking about, and Bob was there with a military jacket on him over his shirt and tie and that, I think, because he's an ex-Navy or military man.
No. You mean war hero.
Yeah, right.
But he's not trying to claim valor or anything like that. It's just that he was in he was military of some kind.
He's a
War heroes are very modest.
National Guard or some shit, little weekend warrior.
No, he saved many lives. Just modest.
No, he specifically claimed that he never saw a battle himself. He specifically said that. So he's never trying to claim valor or anything like that.
Yeah, I know that code. That means that's code for I killed 100 men.
but he was at this thing where there was a panel and doctors, and it was in a podium of some kind, and he was addressing them from the audience.
Yeah,
and he did say what. Yeah, I mean, give the man a fair shot, like.
He had like a acid smiley face on a hoodie, and he carried a bong on stage. He looked ace.
He's a stone cold dumbass, though. Medical doctors aren't that stupid, and they would know that answer to that question, right? I mean, immediately.
Well, you're going to need to tell you used to be my doctor.
Well, maybe the standards just really slipped.
No.
He's a recent graduate.
No.
No? Okay. I mean, with everything that's recently happened, I wouldn't be surprised if they just kind of secretly lowered those standards enormously.
Wait a second. I asked him this so many times because somebody did bring that up, that he was a doctor. That's why I was on it. And for years, I'd catch him in Discord on 24/7, and I'd ask him over and over and over again. And finally, after years and years and years, I caught him on a debate. I think it might be taped. And I asked him, I said, "Oh, yeah, Bob, you dumbass. What are the 4 levels of protein structure?" You know what that sumbitch said? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Dumbass cracker.
Yeah, that's the right answer. As a doctor, I know that.
Yeah, it's a good answer if you're a friggin' retard.
Doctor.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then,
Take it you're not going to tell us, so it's your little, it remains your acid test, whereas obviously if you tell us the answer now.
Oh, I didn't think about saying, that's not the point. The answer's not the point. He didn't give the correct answer.
No, I get that. It's an acid test for somebody who's claiming to be a doctor to see, well, I know a doctor would know this. How you know a doctor would know that, I don't know, but maybe we'll get into that.
Do you want the answers?
Yeah, I would like to know, just because it's concise and complete, rather, not concise.
Yeah, but what if Bob is listening to this and then he finally gets it?
But that's what Nathan was thinking in the first place. Just tell us afterwards when the show is over.
If you rattle them off, I can then repeat them and say I already knew it, and that makes me a doctor, you see.
I'm not saying.
No, that's fair enough. I don't blame you. I wouldn't either.
All you have to do is go. Let's try it.
Man, this reverse psychology works really well on you.
No, it doesn't. Let's go to Google. Let's see how easy this is to do. What are the 4 levels of protein structure? Let's see what it does.
Primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary.
It gives them, it's the first one. It's leading out the gate. It highlights them for you. But you know, Bob's not as dumb as he looks, because as soon as he states those off of Google, I'm going to ask him what each one is and then give an example. That's why he doesn't do Daesh. He's not as dumb as he looks. So, too funny.
So what's
Thanks
an
for
example?
the walk down memory lane.
If you picked one at random, and I asked you, obviously it's hard to contextualize this question because I don't know the answers. But if I picked one of those off the list and said, well, okay, what's the constituent parts of that specifically? Would that also be the next level of acid test, I assume? And therefore, what would the... Right, okay. Because presumably it's fundamental to knowing how the body functions to be a doctor, right?
Yeah, you need to know protein structure and their functions, yes.
I
Well,
know that.
it's ultimately all leading to God. Yes, that's where you're going with it.
No, I'm not going there. You think Nathan's going there? I'm going here because I think he graduated from Tuco Community College in Tobago, but from his non-answer, he's a pretender clown fraud.
Yeah, that's what I was calling an acid test, Brian. So no, I wasn't assuming that this was going to lead to God. I was just assuming that it led to an exposure of somebody claiming to be a doctor when they're not. Not that I know that Dr.